Parties have never really been my thing. They're always such a hassle and takes too much effort and time off my day, prior plans and commitments canceled, all for the sake of playing along with others.
Welcome everyone.
I hated them as a child.
Please, make yourselves at home.
But Mom often insisted she'd slick my hair back, put me in excuse me, one of those stuffy diner jackets, and if there were any children around, urged me to make friends. Never mind how utterly loud and tedious it was. It was all for the sake of keeping up appearances. To some extent, lies have always surrounded me. Long before I was chosen what I wanted to do with my life. Luckily, there were easy ways to tune everything out, and much to my mom's frustration, I always managed to sneak my CD player along. I kept to myself and to my music and had my own little world. Until I learned to observe. It's a simple matter of awareness, really, and for someone with keen eyes, a skewed necktie or a simple flick of a wrist alone could tell volumes about a person. I still don't like parties, especially ones as big and fancy as the Wrights' housewarming. However, when there's an actual reason to go to them, I figure they're not too bad.
Be careful with Shirley, alright?
Besides, like it or not, it's all part of the job. I'm here for a mission. One that has the name Luke Wright plastered all over it. You'd think that the man would remain inconspicuous after his name was linked to several high-profile crimes across Luxburn. Granted, most of it has gone cold over the years, having stagnated without any lead or evidence, but that doesn't make him any less a suspect. Yet here he is, throwing a party in his own backyard. Although having observed the man this past year, I'm not even shocked. He craves it. The damn spotlight constantly yearns for attention like a neglected puppy. It doesn't take a genius to figure out why he's nowhere to be found in his own party. That's not the problem here. What pisses me off is how far his reach extends, how close he has cracked into the lives of people I care about. Again, like a stubborn itch you can't be rid of. First Professor Clark, then there's Isabella. Also spotted Z-Man here a while ago, and now there's Rebecca. Apparently.
Ashton?
Becca? What are you doing here?
I was invited.
Really? I had no idea you were friends with the host.
This explains a lot, and this makes this difficult all the same. As if getting a contact among the staff to sneak a name into the guest list isn't hard enough. The guy also ditched me last night, and might have placed another set back on my investigation. Was it for my generous tip? Then, here comes Rebecca. Another person to mind.
Well, it's my parents, actually. But that's beside the point. What are you doing here? You hate parties.
I still do. I'm just here on behalf of a friend.
A necessary lie. I can't bring my own friends into this any further than what they've found themselves in. Because if Luke Wright so much as harms a hair on either Zach or Rebecca's heads, there will be hell to pay. Ring about Isabella's brief dealings with him is stressing in and of itself. I doubt he'll attempt anything in front of other people, though. I would tarnish his glorious reputation. He values appearances more than anything. That doesn't necessarily mean he isn't capable of it more often. In fact, and on the off chance he does something, I wouldn't be responsible for my actions.
That's rare. Do you have someone with you, then?
Nope, just me. I won't be staying long.
Well, if that's the case, maybe you and I can...
For Zach and Rebecca's sake, however, I really hope this is simply just a housewarming. Even though something tells me it's anything but. Call it a detective's intuition or whatever. When Luke Wright's involved, nothing good has ever come out of it. I can't let my guard down here. Even more so, familiar car slows to a stop, and out comes...
Chief?
My presence here might be odd, at best, but I have an excuse. One that this man handed to me himself a year ago, along with a heavy dose of flattery for the newly promoted detective inspector. Can't exactly say the same for my good old boss, can I? Although to see him here chatting it up with the Luxburns rich and famous isn't such a big surprise in and of itself. No disrespect, man, but the guy is obviously a social climber. What is surprising is the fact he seems all too eager to mingle with the person of interest's wife. Just what the hell is he doing?
Ashton, what's...
Sorry, Becca. I need to... There's something I need to check for a bit. I'll talk to you later. Do you have a ride home?
No, I had to take a cab here. My car wouldn't start this afternoon. But what about...
What the shit is going on?
I told you to get that old thing checked before, didn't I? You can head back with me after this. Anyway, I gotta go. See ya.
Hey, be careful! About what exact?
I don't want to draw attention to myself either, at least not until he's given me a proper reason to spoil a little party.
Thank you for the invite, Anna. Husband still missing, I see.
Cough drop?
I should be saying the same of your darling Rochelle, Lee. The doctors again?
For now, the best I can do is wait to remain inconspicuous, especially with Chief here, whose motives are dubious at best. If it means having to pretend I don't know Zach or Rebecca, or focusing myself to rub up elbows with people I barely know, let alone likes, then so be it. I can't involve anyone. Wandering is out of the question as well when there are guards and civvies stationed here and there. Sure, getting past them is something I could do with ease, but I'd rather not right now. When I'm one of the few snooping and roaming about, it's best to try and do so once there's a crowd of people. And if their interior designer's drunken claims are being...
Yes, well, what about Luke? Should we file a missing persons report now, or do you want to wait 24 hours?
He's around.
You know, I can tell if someone's bluffing.
It'll come down how well I'll play my cards tonight. With a good hand, this party is going to give me the breakthrough I need to crack the Luke right, or something to prove my suspicions wrong. Maybe find out what kind of game my boss is also playing. I've also had an inkling before, a few hunches tempered down by how much of a bumbling fool the man appeared. But one does not simply deal with the rights and get invited to a party they host without wanting anything from either of the two. Or it's the other way around. So with a last wary glance at the two, I head into the ballroom. I just hope this will not complicate things further. Shit. By the time the party's in full swing, night is fallen, yet there still isn't Luke Wright in sight. The man can be quite ostentatious, but this, frankly, I'm impressed. I don't even know how many hors I've stuffed into my face with. One too many, probably. The servers are probably giving me stink eye every time I saunter over to the buffet table. Nah, I'm not a big fan of eggs. I'm your employer, not me, the one who has the guts to show up late. Besides, most of the guest idol's chat is concentrated in this area by standing under the same roof with the very people whispering about something just couldn't resist. Might as well keep an ear out for any useful info.
Is Suarez still fixing that tech problem? Tech problem? It's been 3 years. Sooner or later, the blighter will put 2 and 2 together.
It's been 3 years.
She might have already.
If the red tape I'm being slammed with these past few months suggests anything, that or someone has been pulling the strings. I wouldn't be shocked. This case would not have gone this long if the scumbag didn't have a mule of some kind in the force.
Shush you, we all know Suarez just wants an out. I knew he was bad news the day the merger with Evans Incorporated happened. Feh. Glad I did not have to deal with that. But keep it down, someone might hear. The wife especially.
The wife especially. This kind of negligence has always been an advantage, but sometimes I wish I could be smashed drunk while doing this. Having sharp ears always means you get to hear the most unsavory things. Who cheated on who this week, one person's motive for bashing someone's skull against a wall, or a father's excuse for burning his own daughter alive. That sort of stuff. After a few years, it gets tiring, you get desensitized to it. But humans could also be downright awful. Sometimes there simply isn't enough brain bleach in the world. Sadly, the wine is a no-go tonight, mostly for show. I'm up for another drive later for one, and I definitely want to be sober in case anything comes up. And something always comes up in assignments like this. A detective inspector dying of cardiac arrest, for example. Because I can feel the moment my heart grinds to a halt the second I shift my eyes to a corner of the ballroom.
Hannah Wright.
Some will say I'm acting a touch bit paranoid, and maybe I am. This is a party, and she's the hostess, and it goes to say that she'd take time to mingle with her guests. And Hannah Wright, Nee Evans, isn't without her fair share of accolades. At least to the public, she doesn't seem like it. Unlike her husband, she's the one with the business sense, not to mention the impressive track record needed to manage a company, or effectively hide whatever irregularity there might be. She's clean, as far as my agents have been found, but it doesn't rule out a possible involvement with whatever her husband's up to. Even the Z-Man's personal opinion of the woman, there are certain gut feelings you really couldn't shake off. Now, Luke Wright, it came out clean in previous reports until I bothered to take a deeper look into it. What I found may not be sufficient to bring anyone to trial yet, but it's enough to nurture suspicion. It's maybe a bit of an overreaction, but no one lasts long in my line of work by being careless.
You would catch his eye a lot better if you wore nicer clothes, don't you think?
Didn't realize the housewarming was going to be this fancy. I would have gone with a nice dress if I knew.
Nothing to be worried about then. She's probably even more careful with appearances than her own husband, having grown up with the spotlight focused on her. Yet, even knowing that, the anxiety stays, has been there since the party started. I brushed it off earlier, who wouldn't feel edgy, right? Gone undercover in a party hosted by the very person I'm investigating. That in itself is risky, and there's plenty of room for error. Usually, though, the attention passes around the first half an hour or so. I've been trained to remain composed in situations like this. However, with each sound I spend here, it only grows heavier and seeks to overwhelm an odd feeling that someone is watching me instead. It's been like this since last week, but I should already be used to this. People would be looking at me no matter how small or big a blip I am on the radar, but that's when they do these in these things. But when the feeling of eyes burning into my back lingers longer than necessary, I've been looking around every now and then to catch the culprit. No luck. And despite my efforts to push the sensation as far down as I can, tiny pinpricks continue to sting the back of my head, and the ghost of cold touch creeps up on my limbs, until my gaze switches back to Rebecca, Hannah Wright. She stands there, dark-haired, dirty, sticking out like a sore thumb. Even so, no one seems to notice. Although she's looking away from me, her mere existence here strikes, disturbs. A sense of tunnel vision blinds while I stand stock still and gape at her, like my life depends on making sure she stays where she is. I feel trapped in her presence until another guest bumps into me, yanking me out of my stupor. Only then I realize that I've been holding my breath. Before I can figure out what happened, she's gone. A quick scan of the room yields no sign of her. The party continues as if nothing's amiss. I'm not really one to judge, but I'm sure that someone like that would not be allowed into fancy things like this. What has the security been doing? Are they really that incompetent for someone so distinct to easily get in without notice? There should have been at least an outcry by now, particularly from the host. She's been standing almost an arm's length away from the woman, and yet she simply continues to talk with Rebecca.
Oh, the professor! And your little Becky!
My parents couldn't make it since they're in Scotland right now.
Is there something in the food then? I'm starting to see things. Couldn't have been the wine, though. I've been every bit as sober as I first stepped out of my car. The Hortivores. But why would anyone want to do that? Why would Luke Reich want to do that? He's fishy, but I wouldn't see why he'd think it'd be a good idea to lace the food he's serving his party with someone like Chief Lee on his guest list to boot. Has he been linked to a narcotics trade? Yeah. However, that kind of tactic is below him. That much I could tell. Unless there's a mass murder waiting to happen here tonight, which I highly doubt. So,
What the fuck was that?
there's nothing, no time to look deeper into, even if I want to. Now, when a telling silence comes upon the room and draws everyone's attention to the main doors of the ballroom...
About damn time.
Good evening, ladies and gents. Enjoy. I hope I'm not too late in welcoming you all to the Wright Mansion.
I've been tailing this guy for a while now. Before that, I heard stories from previous officers who tackled this case, none of which are pleasant. Mind, I'm not counting the incident with Professor Clark, yet pleasant is glossing over the gravity of it, which we don't know. We know he hates him, but I don't know why. While the Wright's good at covering whatever shady stuff he's doing, he's shown to be a really rotten guy. At least, that's the case when he thinks none of his peers are around to judge him. I've lost track of how many counts of verbal abuse and harassment cases this guy could be pinned with. Standing in the same room with him doesn't make me want to punch him any less. Actually, the urge is stronger, but protocols. My case, first and foremost. My own opinion on the man shouldn't be ahead of my own purpose, then. If I want to put him in his place, it should be in a court with all the proper charges filed against him. And I'll be able to do that once I gather enough evidence to pin this bastard down.
Welcome, one and all, to our humble abode. Tonight, if you have yet to find yourself in your roles, you are our ladies and lords of the court of your king and queen. If you would excuse my presumptuousness.
How many times do I have to hear this? Is it like a clue?
So, enjoy the feast that has been laid out for your senses, as we only allowed the best to be served. Enjoy the rest of your night, everyone.
Suppressing my annoyance, I prepare to step away from the crowd. Amidst the cheers and claps, now's a good time as any to move. Trying to find that something that Miss Kala woman talked about. In the first place, I have no plans to actually shake hands with the slime ball himself. The fake smile's plastered on my face while I pretend to listen to one of the other guests gossiping about him, all while slowly inching out of the ballroom. Unfortunately, before I could get any further.
Are you feeling ill, Rochelle? Perhaps you need to sit down and...
Rich people only have two ways to resolve their mess. Either they quietly deal with it behind closed doors, or they create an even bigger problem out of it, and it just blows up in everyone else's faces, or one way or another. Fun.
No! Shut it, you munter! I ain't talking to
The
you!
hell is a munter?
I'm talking to this scumbag over here! You bloody bastard standing there with your smarmy smile!
I don't see him with a smile, I'm not gonna lie. Not even a few seconds in, and this already is proving itself to be a big public spectacle. Why spend money on a television to buy daytime soap operas? You could just go to one of these parties and see the action unfold in real life. You get free food, too. Really, if I were an actual guest, I'd just take this as some sordid form of amusement.
Watch your tongue! You're on thin ice, Rochelle. Where's your husband? Who even invited you?
But I'm not a guest who's here for a good time. I need to focus on him even through this whole sorry tale. So I wait, I listen, I observe. Interesting, isn't it, though? That's the Chief Inspector's wife. Really? Okay. The morning after starts off quiet. Even the whole Salem Well residences seem unusually still. The open hallway, when I step out, is devoid of tenants. No sound coming from the other units either. It's almost as if something's brewing on the horizon. So he was... Hold on. Stop for a minute. He goes to the mansion. Did you not, like, go through the place, find anything, like, do anything? Okay. Let's just jump around. Alright. Peaceful night's sleep still does wonders for the mood, although I can't even remember the last time I slept without anything urgent interrupting. It's a nice break from all the bad news lately. If it wasn't for the insistent buzzing in my pocket waking me up, I'd sleep in. The ringing stopped before I could move somewhere private, but sleep has always been effectively kicked out of my system by then. Pity, I could use a little more rest until I have to face the other storm. Of course, I owe Rebecca an explanation. It doesn't matter if it's the whole truth or another hastily spun tale, although I haven't really figured out how to go about this yet. Unlike Zach and Isabella, who don't usually ask questions and are content with what little I could share, Rebecca's rather quick on the trigger. Will have to be set aside for later, though.
Sup, I'm Ash from Deluxe City. Baggers, watch out, can't beat me. Looking for trouble? Better not lie. I'm a cool dude, pretty fly for an Asian guy. Sup, I'm Ash from Deluxe City. Baggers, watch out,
This ringtone.
can't beat me. Looking for trouble? Better not lie.
The chief's name
I'm a
stares
cool
back at me,
dude,
almost
pretty
as if
fly
mocking
for
me.
an Asian
Sad.
guy.
It would have been nice
Sup,
to
I'm Ash
just
from
chill
Deluxe
after last
City.
night on maybe
Baggers,
half
watch out,
listen to the
can't
news.
beat me.
Sure,
Looking
it's
for
the same
trouble?
thing we've been
Better
hearing
not
lately.
lie.
Still be
I'm a
standing
cool
outside in
dude,
the chilly
pretty fly
Lethburn
for
morning
an Asian
on the
guy.
phone with my boss.
Sup, I'm
Sighing,
Ash
I
from
answer,
Deluxe
if only to
City.
get this over with.
Right? Where are you right now?
With your mom. Now that's a tone I didn't expect to hear from him at this hour. Just thinking how this'll go already gives me a headache. Immediately I reach up and pinch the bridge of my nose to stave it off.
This is why I won't ever drink myself senseless.
What was that?
I said I'm with your mom.
Nothing, Chief. A pleasant morning to you, too.
Or wife, which one is it anymore? He's probably calling to rag on me or complain about his wife, which is really none of my business, unless it affects my case. It seems like an unusual rich man cheats on his wife deal. Although I would have followed up on it if it were someone else's wife. But figuring it's the chief's, hey, I trust him to clean up if the missus is related to the Wright's shady dealings. This is why I left before they even hauled the woman out last night. I'm going to go around investigating cheating husbands and wives, and it's probably just that. Chief appears to have a different idea in mind, though.
There's nothing pleasant in the morning.
I agree with that.
Anyway, where are you?
Jesus Christ, if I have to answer this one more time.
I told you millions of times before to keep your lines open.
Your voice is so loud on the phone. He did not. He did, not only him. Zach, Rebecca, Isabel, all of them have said the same thing numerous times in the past. When I was undercover last night, a phone call's the least I want to happen. when there are other things I need to focus on at the time. Besides, we have radios and work-issued phones. Why isn't he using those channels if this is urgent?
Just woke up, sir. As awesome as it is to hear your voice this morning, it really is early. If you could give me a few minutes just to wake myself up, that'd be swell.
No need for that. This won't take long.
Is something wrong? Am I needed at the precinct ASAP?
Oh no, everything's good over there. Just...
Your voice is so grady.
Look, kid. Pray. Don't take this personally, alright? You're off the Luxborn firm case. Starting today.
Well, I did not expect to hear that either. This must be some kind of cosmic joke. I allow some awkward seconds to pass. Chief must be pulling another one of his awful pranks. Out of his bad mood or a severe hangover, maybe. Everyone knows that this was, given the chance, he exercises no control with his drinking. If it wasn't for his wife causing a stir, he'd probably be trashed an hour in the party. He likely drank more after they threw her out of the ballroom. Besides, his sense of humor has never been good. It's just infuriating most of the time. But when he doesn't follow it up, if I sound a tiny bit frustrated speaking to my own superior, I'm not the one to blame.
Wait, no. What? Are you kidding, Chief? Is this one of your practical jokes again? The Temps won't say anything about it, but
It's not that. They're orders. From the higher-ups.
Right, because they found out your wife was sleeping around on you. And, yeah. The higher-ups. Yes, my favorite word. Since when did the higher-ups ever care about a criminal investigation department, Dad? As far as I could tell, they don't give a hoot if CID is filled with cold cases as long as we keep the spending low. And when I need to view those old cases files, though, they're locked away in the archives. You're going to have to check up with the higher-ups. I need to access those reports, see if the higher-ups will allow on every step, every move. In this case, there isn't one that hasn't been gated by some authority. If it's not the chief, it's the commissioner, or so they always tell me. Makes one wonder why they keep bothering assigning it to anyone. Not a single one of them has done anything to help move the case. And they wonder why it has taken this long for even a hint of progress to show.
you can't just drop this on me. You can't just take me off like that.
Yes, I can. And I'm sorry, Ashton.
I will smack you with my shoe.
You're a good detective. One of the best I've seen in years, but...
3 years, Chief. 3 years!
3 years since that anonymous tech leak blew up. Since Luke Wright's name was openly linked to several nasty dealings within Luxborn's corporate world, some of them involving deaths. 3 years, and I was the only one who made it this far, made much progress that officers with more experience weren't able to do when they handled this case. And just within a year, and with barely any help from the damn brass at that, of course I'll be pissed.
Do you know what would have happened if I didn't work my ass off on this thing? If I didn't dedicate a whole year of my time on it, it would have gone cold. Like every fucking case Luke Wright has been linked to. I saved this from getting thrown into the archives, sir. I'm getting close. If you could just...
I'm fully aware of what you've done, Prey. But the Commissioner hasn't been happy with your progress.
The Commissioner!
Still too slow by their standards.
Oh.
Too slow? Well, what about those reports I filed? I've documented every freaking thing for them. I've given you every important lead I can gather. Isn't that enough?
They need results, not a bunch of research papers. Not one baseless assumption after another.
Your voice.
Concrete proof, Frey.
Oh god.
I'm really sorry. They've already made a decision.
Can we get off the phone?
They're going to pass this on to someone who's been in the force longer.
Someone who has more experience?
They meant nothing by it, but you're still too young to work on a case this big.
Chief, I've already done more than what those old farts ever did behind their desks. All of it, within just a year of being assigned to this.
Watch your language, Frey. Those are your superiors,
I'm not some damn rookie fresh out of training. I'm as qualified as they are.
Futile. I know it is. They'd never say it within earshot, but from the very minute I stepped into their precinct, a lot of them had underestimated me, from their stares alone to the assignments I get. To them, I'm just a kid, too young, too green, too inexperienced, and once they pull that card on me, every argument I get have thrown out the window. No matter how logical it is, how much I've accomplished, the record says, or the amount of work I put in every investigation they've thrown my
They're all
way.
aware of your skills, kid. You wouldn't have that badge and rank if you weren't good enough. However, this case is just not for you. Too high profile, too risky to put a good officer like you in harm's way.
in harm's way. Really? That's some bullshit. Can he even hear himself? The reasoning is odd in and of itself. No one joins the line of work without knowing the dangers.
Don't I get a second chance? You said it yourself. I'm a good detective. It'll just be a matter of time before we can close this.
It doesn't matter what I think, Frey. You're off the case, and that's final.
Good, can I hang up the phone now?
I expect all related files and documents on my desk by Monday morning. And don't even try to go touch anything. I know how hard-headed and determined you are.
Chief, please. A few more weeks. I'll have the proper evidence left on your desk by then. I swear it won't take longer than that.
Fred, it's too late, boy. I've already informed the other officers. You aren't to be allowed access until you've been given a new assignment. Hell, just keep out of the precinct, Frey. Take the weekend off.
Seriously, Chief, is this about last night? If this is about me being at that party, I have a good reason for—
You were at the party.
Takes me a pause. His wary tone, the sudden careful note in his voice. Slowly a frown forms in my face, my eyebrows knitting together in confusion. Much as I hate to say this about my own boss, there's also suspicion in him. Hard not to think of it, it's, seeing how he acted around Hannah Wright last night. Is he worried? Why should he be? Everyone anyone was invited, I didn't doubt for a second why he received an invite, even if his presence was questionable. There's something wrong, and I've unintentionally walked right into it. Yes! His wife just accused Luke Wright of cheating, and she's pregnant with his baby. I don't know what to tell you. All I have is a sneaking suspicion, but when one looks at this form from a different angle, puts everything together, why the hell have I been taken off the case? Might be for the same reason he was there in the first place. But
Yes, Chief, I was. For a good reason. What were you doing there? I know we don't have a strict rule against attending functions, but that was—
he coughs, and it almost sounds like he's choking on his own excuses, lies. I don't want to accuse him of anything, yet he's someone I've respected since I joined LPD, even with his bizarre sense of humor and tendency to procrastinate. He's obviously competent enough to get the job done. He wouldn't be Chief Inspector of Luxburn Police if he wasn't. Okay. He wouldn't last years in service without some track record backing him. Unless that, too, is a fluke. And what's backing him is not something, but someone. Oh, shit. Justine, she probably went to think about what she said in chat and... Hell. Shit.
Chief Harvey, about last night with the—
Why does it matter, Frey? This isn't about that.
Why does it matter? Why does it matter? I'll recite the whole damn oath we've taken upon this, being sworn to the surface if I can, but at this point it seems a little too late to remind him of that. He has probably already moved from serving and protecting people to serving and protecting his own interest. Damn it. I suspected the upper brass of this, even the lower-ranked subordinates in the force, but now my own boss? Shit, no wonder that leak didn't lead anywhere. Someone closer might have been pulling the strings. I might have been set up to fail long before the fucking case had been assigned to me. But I don't want to give up. I don't want to believe I'm wasting an entire year for this. I don't want this to be the kind of news to tell Professor Clark after all those promises I've given the man.
I just want to know, sir, at the party, with Luke and Hannah Wright, you were—
Monday, Detective Inspector. First thing in the morning. Every copy of the files you have, I want to see it all on my table, understood?
So he's giving you the weekend, dog.
This isn't—
Frey, am I understood?
You have the weekend, is what he's telling you. What else can I do other than smile and nod? With my own superior expecting an answer, using that tone, brushing my questions off, as easy as discarding a dead body.
Yes. Yes, sir.
That's a line as soon as the words are out. You're off the case, Frey, just like that. You have the weekend, bitch! Start working! Funny why they still caught me off guard. I've discovered years ago how different the actual thing is, how far from reality everything I believed in as a dreamy-eyed kid. There are no high-speed pursuits every day, no thrilling gunfights or exciting cases every step of the way. Only paperwork, lots of red tape, dealing with politics and bureaucracy. I've set out to change things, hoping it'll make things better for the people I care about. Ended up changing me instead. Serves me right for being too idealistic, I guess. This is probably the universe telling me it's better to remain the skeptic I really am. Now here I am, standing useless. I can't even do anything but grit my teeth and kick the wall. The bastard didn't even acknowledge my response.
What did the poor wall ever do to you?
It figures Rebecca would be the one to find me in this embarrassing state. Honestly, I don't like it when she sees me like this, which seems to happen a lot regardless of what I want.
Rebecca, now's not a good time.
The concern I expect from her when I turn isn't there, however. Instead, she just looks, well, the storm I left brewing last night, yeah, it's right there on her face, ready to be unleashed.
When is it ever a good time for you? You're always so busy with everything now. Now I find you here, sneaking out without even bothering with a proper goodbye. Not even a word. Really, I'm starting to think you're just keeping me around for my couch and my cooking.
Becca, it's not what you're thinking. I wasn't planning on sneaking out. I was going to say goodbye. I just had to take this call. Although, I'm not gonna lie, couch is great. 10 out of 10. Would sleep again.
Stop it with the jokes, Ashton. I'm not in the mood.
Okay, that was actually good. That was good. Her bitterness is not lost on me, but at this point in our friendship and our lives, how does she expect me to answer them? What am I supposed to tell her now?
Are you still mad about last night?
She merely raises an eyebrow at me, which, to be honest, is all the response I need. Seeing her like this makes me believe the things, those things Z-Man says. The part where Rebecca scares him sometimes. I'm certainly seeing this more than once already. But the familiarity of it doesn't really take away from the downhill turns this conversation's starting to take. Only an awkward cough serves as a way to install.
Okay, of course you're still mad. But whatever happened last night, I really am sorry. I'll apologize as many times as you want. If you want, I'd even kneel or something.
God, are you dense?
Ashton, an apology is nice and all, but that's not what I wanted to hear from you today.
Alright, fine, okay. Where do you want to start?
Oh, I don't know. I've honestly lost track of it by your third trip to the buffet table.
I wasn't... The drive up there took a bit. Can you blame me if I wanted to grab some appetizers?
Oh, come on, Ash! For the whole evening? For the whole party? Please don't tell me that's all you did, because I've never known you as someone who pigs out. You even took great lengths to avoid me. Should I also mention how you ignored Zach? Sometimes I get the feeling you don't want to be seen with us in public. Some friendship, huh?
You know it's not like that. It's never going to be like that, Becca.
I'll ask this again. Just what were you up to during the party? What were you doing that you couldn't even take 2 seconds to make time for your friends?
I couldn't even look her in the eye. It wasn't when I wanted to avoid them. I did it to keep Zach safe, to keep Rebecca safe, just in case. Client or family friend, it was still a party hosted by a person of interest. By a man accused years ago of murdering a person's wife to get what he wanted. But then, the chief showed up. Hannah Wright happened, and Luke Wright just can't be bothered to die peacefully somewhere. All of a sudden, none of my original reasons mattered. If I was found out right then and there, hell, if Zach and Rebecca's connection with me was found out, who knows what might have happened. But Rebecca doesn't understand that. You haven't said that. She might understand if you actually explained it. Doesn't understand what I can and can't say to keep them from harm. It's all in her eyes. The tight line on her lips, her furrowed brows, the hurt. This day's just off to a wonderful start. First my case, now Becca. How do I even go about this? I mean, it's not really confidential. I mean, it is, but it isn't. Stretch the truth. For times like these, we turn to a good old faithful friend of mine. The chocolate bar. Remember Walgreens sale 2 for $1. Okay, 2 for $1. Stretch the truth. Obviously, I can't just say, hey, Becca, you know the Wrights are suspected to be the ringleaders of a crime syndicate and shit like that. protocol or otherwise. There are so many things I'm not allowed to tell the others. Even if I'm able to share the information with civilians, knowing anything could very well put them in danger. That's why I keep it vague. No scare the facts, or when push comes to shove, stretch the truth and lie through my teeth. It's a necessity I've grown to deal with. It's also become a part of me, no matter how much I loathe doing it.
I mentioned it, didn't I? I was there on behalf of someone else. I was on business, Becca. I wasn't there to have a good time.
She doesn't look convinced at all. Although she's a very picture of someone who's at least willing to listen. Her glare effectively takes a good 20 off my current years. I feel like a kid again, being reprimanded by my junior high teacher for sleeping in class. But getting away with that, it's easier than with this one. It's a thing that someone you've been friends with for so long, they're the ones who know you inside and out. Good grades wouldn't be enough for Rebecca to let this whole thing slide.
You couldn't even spare a single second to mingle.
I was caught sleeping in class, but people just laughed because my head was down on the desk and I started snoring.
What was I supposed to say? Hi, fancy meeting you here. Would you like to dance? By the way, those appetizers were really good. You should try some. Like that? I've got a boss guy breathing down my neck. I don't exactly have the luxury of doing as I please.
This much is true. My reasons for being at the party too. However, Chief's presence last night made a lot of things difficult. Approaching them was out of the question when there was someone watching, a person who knew the reasons why I was there. It turned out to be a good call on my part. But for someone who's already angry beyond reason, everything will only sound like an excuse.
Cut the shite. I saw you stuffing your face with the deviled eggs, while your own boss is off on the other side of the room. You didn't even exchange a word or a glance with him either. In fact, I think you're also avoiding the man. Just say you don't want to talk about it instead of lying to my face.
I do feel guilty, still. We've already been down this road. This is something I've done so repeatedly in the past, something she's heard from me more times than all my fingers could count. Something I've just had to get over with at this moment.
I'm sorry, you know that, Becca. I really, really am. I wouldn't do this shit if I didn't have a good reason to.
And you know that I don't like you lying to me!
Technically, I can at least say he has not lied.
If you can't tell the truth, just don't say anything and shut your gob! I swear, Ashton Frey, you are just so dense!
I cannot fault you on that.
I'm so angry. I can't even bear to look at you right now because I swear I'll knock you right off your block!
Please?
I mean, what good reason could you have to act like an antisocial asshole?
Yep. She's gonna kill us by the end of this.
The only time you did talk to me was to rail on me about Luke. What was that all about? Were you somehow expecting me to just accept everything as it is?
You really shouldn't go near that man, Becca.
Why? Because you don't trust him? I wonder if you actually trust anyone.
You've caught me.
Aside from the three of us, Zach, Isabella, and myself, do you even have any other friends?
No.
If you're perfectly fine with that, then go ahead. No one is stopping you. But don't expect me to share the same views. I can have a life of my own. Friends that I don't necessarily share with you. I'm an adult, Ashton, and I can make my own bloody decisions. I sure as hell can choose the people I want to let into my life.
And she's ranting. Of course she's allowed to do as she pleases. I never mentioned she couldn't. Us growing together doesn't mean I always have to be just the two of us. It's a dumb idea to believe in when nothing else remains consistent. Things will inevitably change throughout the years. She'll make friends with people outside of her little circle. I'm just as free to form relationships with other people. But why, of all people, did it have to be with him? Why does it have to do with Luke Wright? That guy is nothing but trouble. How can she defend a guy like that? She's already calling him Luke, for Pete's sake.
I trust Zach, I trust Isabella, and I trust you, Rebecca. So why can't you trust me on this? You need to stay away from that man. Because I really wish I could tell you.
And what was that saying Isabella mentioned before? A liar is a brother of a thief. People who'll look at me now will probably say I'm a hair's breadth away from being a criminal. Z-Man said something like that once a few years ago in our friendship. I laughed it off back then, but no. They're probably right. Little by little, I'm becoming the very kind of person I hate. How ironic. The silence afterwards brings an even heavier air between us. Something about Rebecca, thankfully, doesn't allow to linger more than necessary.
I suppose you have to go now, huh?
It's like the saying says, live long enough to become the villain, or die being the hero. The situation's already awkward as it is. Dragging this out will only make it more, what? Difficult? Messed up? As if it isn't already.
Back to your case again?
I don't really have to. I have no case as far as my job is concerned. I have the weekend off until I have to report to Chief on Monday. Although I don't want to just throw in the towel on this. Orders are orders. This isn't like the movies. I don't get to say fuck off, throw my gun badge at him, and become some vigilante and save the day and get my job back. I'd rather get my ass thrown in jail than do any of that. But it's also not in my nature to just sit still and do nothing. It would drive me crazy if I just idle about. Besides, there's someone who has to know about this whole thing. Luke Wright thing.
Yeah, I need to go talk to Professor Clark. And there's something else I need to look into.
What is up with everyone and this goddamn professor? Like, seriously. In the matter she mentioned last night. Specifically. Same stuff Zachary has also been trying to tell me. Yeah, dies a hero level, yeah. Things even the news have been blasting out in general populace lately. Evening, afternoon, morning, all the deaths with the same modus, blamed on a single serial killer. Or is it still the case?
Found dead in the early hours of the morning today. The fire was contained within the room and no other tenants were harmed, according to Luxbourne police.
We're grasping at straws as far as these murders are concerned. In the first place, I'm not even the one heading the investigation, yet look at me treating as if it's another high-profile case on my shoulder. How sad is that? Although 3 of my friends have been mentioned seeing something strange, I don't want to go into that line of thinking for now. Yet, not yet. Not until I've exhausted every logical argument I could throw at it. To be honest, though, I don't know how to take all of this anymore. I've already given Isabella my word. It'd bother me more if I didn't follow up on a promise I made to her. And after Rebecca's claims last night, there won't be enough sarcasm in the world if I want my friends been telling me it's true. I can already hear Isabella's laughter, in fact.
Figures. What else can it be?
It's not another case. It's something else. That issue Isabella mentioned yesterday morning. I'm sure you remember. You were there.
Well, at least you're not neglecting all your friends.
Becca, I promised her I'll...
She doesn't wait for me to finish. With a roll of her eye, she turns around and shuts the door in my face. Because you're a dense asshole who doesn't realize she loves you. And you're talking about another girl and doing shit for her. Oh my god, I have no idea what I said this time, but...
I probably deserve that.
You do. I'll just have to fix this some other time. By then, her temper is sure to have cooled off significantly. Hopefully. For now, I can't laze around. Gotta attend to things that matter more. Professor Clark first, deliver the bad news, and then issue the BRC and Isabella. Maybe I'll drop off by Zach's, check on him, hear what he has to say. He'll also read the damn letter. Also, I've been saying odd things about a bunch of photographs. I might as well, while I'm here, playing a paranormal detective, or was it supernatural? I can't remember. They're one and the same. Whatever, it won't hurt anyone if I try to get to the bottom of this. If nothing comes out of it, good. Everyone can shut up about the stupid curses, we can finally get back to a track of our lives. On to more important stuff. If there is something.
Are you two done?
There's a moment of confusion when I don't see her familiar ponytail about, only to find her standing behind the door to her apartment seconds later. Isabella holds it open, though only slightly, as if to hide from anyone who might happen to pass by. This early on a lazy weekend? I doubt anyone would. But from the gap and what little light there is behind her, I could make out the appearance of someone who just clearly gotten out of bed. Hair is completely disarray, eyes still heavy with sleep, and a small pout on her lips. She hasn't even gotten out of her pajamas. I look away before my sense of decorum kicks in. We might be friends, I even dare say we've grown closer over the years, but that doesn't extend beyond the bounds of propriety. Bitch, please! Christ, even Rebecca never greets elderly visitors in her sleep clothes. No, not pajamas! Shit, I've greeted the pizza guy in my boxers. I'm confident. What? Maybe it's our fault why she's up this early. Still, heat makes a slow crawl up my neck. One that I quickly downplay with a solid call.
Isabella, you're up early.
I'm brave. Lame.
No, I'm not. I'm usually up at this hour. You're the one that usually sucks at getting up early.
Says the person who looks like she's just fallen out of bed.
Instead of the usual quip, she simply averts her gaze to some point behind her, and although it only flashes briefly across her face, an expression of hurt flickers in her eyes. It disappears the second she turns her attention back to me, but that moment has sent a worried tinge in my stomach. I've seen it in honor plenty of times before, just never in a manner that unsettles. Feels, I don't know, off this time? I didn't say anything wrong, did I?
Hey, are you...
Anyway, was that Becca with you? You both sound like Mama and Papa when they fight. You're awfully loud. If we get another memo from the landlady, I'm asking the guard to ban you from ever entering this place.
Damn.
Me? Becca's the one almost shouting.
Yeah, well, she lives here. You don't.
Damn.
You have no excuse. You're the suspicious-looking person.
Thanks. Glad at least one person appreciates how I pretty up this place.
Don't flatter yourself. This place would be so much better without having to see your face every few days.
These hard truths. Falls out with another pout. About her ruffled appearance, particularly how puffy her eyes are, I notice just now that takes away from the intimidating effect she's trying to show. Really, right now she just looks like more like an angry puppy. I might have laughed had it not been giving me another nagging sense that something is definitely wrong with her. What? Has she been crying earlier? That is worrying. She rarely does that. The only time it's happened, the only time I've ever seen her genuinely tear up over something, I think that was about Devlin Court, the night at the bridge. I want to ask. She seems determined to keep it to herself, though.
Did something...
About yesterday, Ash. The things we talked about. Do you think we can take a look at it today?
We? I never said you're coming with me. Don't worry, I didn't forget about it. You'll be the first to know if I find anything.
No, I want to go with you. I'll be ready in a few. This won't take long.
Says every woman ever.
Isabella, you really don't have to. I can handle it on my own. You'll just...
I won't get in the way, I promise. Besides, maybe I can help. You know, if there are files you want to check.
I don't like what she's implying. It's true, LPD's having a hard time with this, but taking Isabella with me, it's out of the question. Under normal circumstances.
You're the one who's going to get in trouble if you do that.
You said it yourself. You need information. And I can help you get that. And it's not like it matters anymore. I just don't want to stand around doing nothing today.
There it is again. Slight shift in her eyes, the mild crease forming between her eyebrows, and mild slump in her shoulders while she crosses her arms tightly around herself. Like she's shielding herself from whatever painful thing there is out there. I have plenty of reasons why I shouldn't let her tag along. First and foremost, she's a civilian. Second, I have a concrete plan on action yet, and I'm going into this blind. No matter how I look at it, it's simply better for her to just wait so she doesn't get dragged into whatever might be another one of my failures. Her assumptions might be dead end for all we know. But seeing that expression on her, hearing her speak those words out loud in a desperate, almost pleading tone, I can't bring myself to say no. So I give in, because right there I see myself in her. A person who doesn't want to stay idle, who doesn't want to think of the problems haunting him.
Alright, 5 minutes.
What? You're timing me?
Well, I can't wait forever. I'm a very busy guy. 4 minutes and 45 seconds, Isabella.
Bruh, you got nothing. Shut up.
I hate you so much. I'm taking back what I said last week. You haven't changed at all.
4 minutes and 30 seconds.
4 minutes and 30 seconds. 29, 28. I'd hurry if I were you.
Ugh, you're awful! I hope you never get a girlfriend.
Slams the door right after, although my chuckles, the mirth and the lightness in it linger. And with her, those have always come easy somehow. even as its echoes fade and the only ghost of a smile remains.
It's not like I'm looking for anyone else.
I want to tell her. It's not because I can. I won't. I'm the one who has chosen not to, until I fixed myself, until I found myself underneath all that guilt and all those lies I've been telling all these years. Because no matter how heavy the weight of these feelings are, I'm not yet worthy of them. Her. Until then, little words and gestures are the only things I can offer. Minor stuff such as sticking deeper into this thing with BRC in order to ease her worries. I'm not even sure if this'll give us anything. Pretty much this is a love triangle. Rebecca loves him, he loves Isabella, and Isabella loves no one. Okay, this is wonderful. Can you three just get a room together? Not even sure, okay. Unlike the firm case, which I already have proper leads on, I'm just going by her words on this. Speaking of the Luxburn firm case, I still have to inform the professor. The apprehension's there for sure. I've made a lot of promises to the man, and I still would have preferred to tell him in person, not over the phone. It's better for him to hear it from me rather than from a stranger. The railings offer steady support while I wait for him to answer. I'd like to think I can do this without losing my nerve. The grip on the bar surely tightens, though. It's like all connects.
Ashton!
Not running today, Professor?
He's usually at the park on late Saturday mornings as long as it isn't raining cats and dogs. Keeping him young and healthy, he says. He's certainly fit for a man of his age with a sedentary job.
Oh, no, not today.
Definitely at the usual place, though. Cheers and laughter, likely from children and families, filter through the receiver. I tend to avoid the park precisely because of this. No use reminding myself of the could-haves, even when it's already over. Mom's doing well with her career. Dad's also fine the last time I visited, although neither remarried. They're both content with their lives as is. I'm probably the only one still caught up with it, hence my aversion. But all in all, it's still a pleasant sight to see if you're the kind who takes joy in such sights like Professor Clark does.
Just thought I'd enjoy the nice weather before it takes a turn for the norm again. To what do I owe the pleasure?
The guy certainly seems happy right now in any case. I almost don't want to break the news to him. Better to get this off quick as long as he doesn't shoot the messenger. He's not the type. However long-held resentment can change a person. Even someone still as mild-mannered as the professor.
I was hoping to talk to you about the case.
I suppose I'm just the downer today. As soon as I say the words, he pauses, and the lightness in his voice is gone in an instant. Every time we talked about this in the past, he does that. He's probably trying to gauge the situation based on the tone of my voice. Perhaps it's a good thing I'm delivering the news through the phone. Who knows what you'll see in my face and my mannerisms. The art of keen observation. I learned it from the man. He probably already has an idea what this is going to be about, from my manner of speaking alone.
You aren't in trouble, are you?
For a second I hesitate, looking at the dirt beneath my shoes. But I manage eventually, after a long, ragged draw of breath. I pick up where I left off, though still fumbling with my words.
Well, I'm in a bit of trouble, if you can call it that.
Ashton!
He only assumes that tone when there's a reprimand at its heels.
But I'm not in danger or anything.
You've said that same excuse a million times before, Detective Inspector. That exhausted rasp in your voice tells a different story.
It's nothing like what you're thinking. Don't worry. I was taken off the Luxborn firm case.
I expect anger, frustration, maybe even disappointment. But all he gives is a small sigh of relief.
Is that so? Well, at least you aren't in danger. Liz wouldn't be too happy if she heard you right now.
Liz. Aunt Liz. She insisted I call her his late wife. A sweet-tempered woman by so many standards. They were never blessed with kids and contented herself with simply managing their bakery. But she's the closest to a mom in a few years I'd known. The professor, too. In the absence of my own parents in my life, the two filled the ache their divorce left in me.
Believe me, you'd get an earful. You don't want to show up at her doorstep looking like you haven't slept a wink either.
How many years has it been since? 9? 10? I can still remember it vividly, two men, primly dressed, briefcase in hand, and stern look on each other's faces. They were already frequent visitors to the bakery for a few months, something about the lot being a prime property in downtown Luxburn. I think they were hoping to settle a deal with them, but neither of the couples gave in to their demands. Why should they? That quaint little shop was a dream for them. Aunt Liz sent me home early that night after a fruitless wait for the professor. The next morning, news of the bakery razed to the ground and spread across the whole city. One casualty. A few weeks later, the property was sold to Wright Enterprise. A fucking hotel now stands in its place. Of course. An investigation was launched after the incident. The name Luke Wright was briefly at the center of it, but with the lack of any evidence, the case ultimately went cold. The professor hides it well. However, I can tell that he hates that man to this day. He might even blame Luke Wright for every tragedy that's happened in the city. He has never blamed me, though, and I'm as equally responsible. I knew something's off the moment these men stepped inside the shop. I could have saved her that night, I could have prevented anything from happening to her. Called for help, or whatever. I didn't. It continues to eat at me until today. Guilt. The Luxburn firm case would have been our chance at reopening that old case, if we could prove Luke right of his crimes. Instead, we're back at square one. Yet all he has for me are words of comfort. To think he could still be this concerned about me after my carelessness, after I've broken another promise a second time. People never cease to amaze me.
You might think that you have failed as an officer. Or maybe you think that you have failed me. And you know more than anyone. I would love to see that man taken down. If anyone deserves to be tried in high court, it's him. But I'm glad nothing's happened to you while you were working on this. That's what's most important. I'd hate to get news like that again.
Suddenly he stops. I imagine a thoughtful look flashing in his eyes as he thumbs the wedding band on his ring finger before he continues. Another habit. He has never removed it since that day. Has never thought once to remarry, even when he managed to continue his life and return to some semblance of normalcy. It's his way of honoring her, I suppose, when he couldn't bring to justice the man responsible for his loss. Some people are just hard to forget.
It's not like another death. Yours or even his will bring back my wife.
Silence falls between us afterwards. I don't quite know what to say after that, really. Should I apologize? Show some sympathy? Going into this, I should have thought of something other than breaking the news to him. As it is, it seems the only thing we can do is feel sorry for each other's misfortunes.
I apologize, too, for putting you up to this.
In any other occasion, under different circumstances, I might have accepted this,
You
but
didn't have to, but you've already done more than any officer who has investigated this. So don't worry about this, old man. I know your department's people all have their hands full recently, too. What with the upsetting news we've been getting as of late. Deaths almost every day. I'm not entirely sure if that has anything to do with the other. It seems too big even for someone like him. But if this is that man's doing...
Professor, please.
maybe if things around me hadn't started going beyond my control, the letter, the mansion, the supposed curse behind those, I'd still be quick to blame it all on the bastard, too. But as much as I want to keep holding him responsible for it, add another to his list of sins, it might be that not be the case. Agreeing will only cut a deeper wound on the professor. I want him to keep clinging to the resentment for much longer. He has already gone through so much, so many years of it. Kind of anger, it's the sort that blinds people despite his reassurances. The bitterness still seeps into every syllable he utters. It's one thing for me to act like this. It's painful to watch someone I've considered a second father to go down this path.
Please don't apologize. It's really alright. I can try to get it back on Monday when I meet with the chief. No promises, but if not, I'll make sure to keep an ear out for any news. Chief said he's passing it on to a senior officer. I should be able to catch a few tidbits every once in a while. But I swear I won't just give up on this. I'll do everything in my power to get Aunt Liz's case reopened for you.
Promises. Again. A bad habit at this point. I wish I could do more for him all this time. I've prided myself over being the one to always know. Because suddenly, aside from Wright and the murders plaguing the city, I have ghosts and curses to worry about. Things that are completely out of my depth. Professor Clark's right in some way. Things would be much easier if we just blamed Luke Wright for all of this. At least finding evidence would be a breeze, and I'd be all too happy to put him in his place where he belongs. Although if he was, in any way, also complicit in what's happening, legitimate legalities have my hands tied. But maybe that's my fault. I might have missed the ticket to closing the case once and for all last night, if only I had done a better job during the party. But then the commotion. There was Hannah Wright and Rebecca distracting me from my purpose too. I'd include that gate crasher as well, even though it's only for a moment. So many things have gone wrong last night that...
This isn't a prank! I saw something! See? This is why I didn't want to tell you guys! It's not a joke! Will you guys listen to me first? I saw something in the house earlier. It stood right in front of me. If I hadn't gotten away, that thing might have...
last night at the party.
But it's real! What do you think I saw? It happened after, when I was trying to get away. I almost got stuck in the same room with that thing. We're all in danger. I thought you were my friends. Why don't you believe me?
Speaking of which, we've been on this call for a while. Why hasn't Isabella come out of her apartment yet? That woman.
Why don't we all calm down first? I'm sure Isabella has her reasons too. No need to be hard on her.
Shit. If that was what Isabella has been warning us about, if it was the same thing Rebecca talked about last night, or what Zach told me about a few days prior, how many of these instances have I dismissed since reading the letter? How many people have I ignored and passed off as some effect of fatigue or lack of sleep? Even last night, hallucinogen lacing the food is the first thing I considered, purely because that's what my training dictates. It's a mindset I've grown used to. It's a setting the gears in my head automatically takes in a situation like that. Of course, I'm not discounting all of that yet until I have enough information, something to form a conclusion from. Proof. In whatever form it may come. But thinking straight is impossible when all of a sudden all your beliefs are being upturned. In the most violent way possible at that. Jesus. I need a sounding board. I need someone to talk to it. And Zach's the best person for that. God, are you an idiot?
I have to go, Professor.
Oh, no problem. But what are you...
You just hung up on your second dad. This dude is dense as... Okay? I don't have time to stop and listen to what the professor has to say as I cut the call short. In the same second, Isabel emerges from the apartment. Like I said, plop. Fully dressed and ready for the day. That was the same goddamn thing she was wearing. As usual, she greets me with a smile, but it falls just as fast as she catches a glimpse of my face. Shame. That would have been the first comfort thing I see today. It annoys me that I'm partially responsible for the worried one replacing it. I must look like close to a picture of someone choking or dying, because there's nothing but concern in the first word she speaks.
Ash, are you... Do you need to go to the bathroom?
Yes, I have to poop. Excuse me.
Yeah, no, I don't, okay? But we should hurry. Come on, don't forget to lock your door.
Seriously, you look like you're about to fall over. Are you alright? Because if you're planning to faint right here, I won't be able to carry you.
Yes, don't mind me. I just remembered some... stuff from last night. I need to talk to Z-Man about this. Mind if we drop by his place first?
Shouldn't we call him? To let him know? It's still pretty early.
No.
Though we'd probably arrive there around noon. Also, what do you mean about this? Is Zach...
He was also there when I opened the letter, right? He read it too. I'm sure he's fine, but it wouldn't hurt to check on him. To make sure. See if he'll say the same things you told me yesterday.
If he's also seeing things, if it's also the same woman I saw last night.
I'm not saying there's really a curse yet, but we have to look at this from every possible angle. And don't worry, he won't mind. He's probably just watching TV right now. Let's go.
Or is he?
Okay, but speak up if you're not feeling well. You really look like you're choking on something. You didn't have to do this for me in the first place.
You know it's not as simple as that.
Head down to the car in record time, not a single second wasted to hit the road and drive to Zach's place. If any of one of us, other than Isabella, knows anything about what's going on, who can help sort the muddled mess my mind is, it's gotta be him. He listened to her. Why do we always keep leaving one person out? In this instance, Rebecca. Again. Zach's the kind of person who prefers to laze around his apartment on a weekend, especially after having a busy week like the last one. The big guy's nowhere in sight, though, when I arrive in his unit. Figures. People don't seem to be where they should be when I need them. Looking around, I find a sign where he might have gone to. He usually leaves a note on his fridge if he's out for the day, just in case someone drops by. As there isn't one, he probably just went for a quick walk. I hope. Maybe he ran out of eggs or something and went to buy some. He is out of eggs, after all. It puts running my mind to rest for a while. He always has to have some, be it for an omelet or something he's baking.
Ash! Should you be rummaging around?
It's Ash. Get used to it.
It's bad enough we went in here without asking for his permission.
Chill, I'm just looking.
Actually, I could also go for a fucking pie right now. Zach's fridge is next to empty. Pay for a few leftovers. I'll do a sigh and close it behind me.
If you see me take anything, feel free to call the police.
Isabella's quick to shoot me a sharp glare, and another chuckle slips from me, despite the unease in my stomach. But the cheer only lasts a few seconds, mostly because she hasn't been in the mood for any sort of friendly banter. It's a silence that's telling, and a quiet Isabella? Well, that's usually the first recipe for an incoming shitstorm.
Do you always do this whenever you visit another person's house? Because I have a lot of questions about your methods.
Just with Zach.
I'm still worried for a friend, of course, and despite what's bothering Isabella, she's anxious too. She's been standing by the doorway for a good few minutes now, since we entered Zach's place. In fact, doesn't seem to know what to do with herself. But much as I want to put her at ease, her nervous tics are starting to get to me. The manner in which she makes herself smaller, the way she fidgets with her hands, clasping with one moment, unfurling in the next, it's distracting enough that I want to ask what's wrong. I thought she'll give me a straight answer, though, and the best I can do is hope or help her temper with it.
You don't have to hang around the door. You might be here for a while. You can sit down.
She hesitates for a second, but eventually takes the empty seat by Zach's study table.
Aren't we going to look for him?
Sure, we can, but where are we going to start?
The grocery store.
I can think of a few places he might be, but Luxburn's a big city. I don't want to miss the big guy if we leave, and...
The trail log, making a vague gesture in the general direction of Zach's bed. The messy bed suggests he was out in a hurry. He didn't even bother to fold his sheets. And he apparently didn't bother to take his phone either. The cell phone's been left behind as well. Another odd thing when he has made it a habit to never leave it behind in a case a client calls. Wow, this really weird shit's going on, and you're a detective. God, you are dense!
At least the locked door points to the fact that it wasn't a forced exit.
That seems to reassure her, but not so much. Understandable, anything might have happened. In hindsight, I should have left Rebecca alone either. We'll have to check on her later. Oh, you're a dumbass! Yeah, let's drive back all the way across town. Maybe she won't be there either. We'll just stay outside of her place and wait for her too. In the meantime, Zach, but with no other clue where he is and no other way to contact him, we have no choice but to wait. Shouldn't you call Rebecca? Maybe tell her to come over? Or lock the door? Or... No? Okay. Sure, I could give the room another thorough run through, but I don't think Zach would appreciate me upending his place. Isabella won't let me do that either. Besides, I haven't eaten anything yet. Isabella probably hasn't too. We did leave in a hurry. Might as well take this chance to cool down a bit, right? Anything to distract myself so that I don't just charge head first because of whatever paranoid scheme that comes to mind. Isabella's with me. Can't be reckless. Returning to the kitchen, the first thing I see is a bag of chips when I ruffle through his cupboards. Yang's potato chips, original flavor. I now want potato chips. After muttering a permission and apology to its owner I won't hear, I grab it. Isabella doesn't miss shooting me another glare, but she doesn't really make an effort to stop me this time. She ignores my offer of food, though. So instead, I sat myself on Zach's old couch, turned on the television. Isabella's silence may not be too heavy, but it sure as hell is awkward. The screen lights up right as an awful afternoon drama starts airing on the Channel 9. Something like sitting in front of a TV with a mindless drone running in the background to waste away the time. And waste it away we do. The afternoon has hit its last few hours when movement comes from the other side of the door, and Zach's heavy treads break the monotonous drivel from the TV. The lock clicks, the knob turns, and slowly it swings open to reveal a very exhausted-looking Zach. What? Did you run a marathon?
Sup, Z-Man?
Hey, Zach. Sorry we just barged in here. Ash was...
Relax. Z-Man gave me a copy of the key himself.
Light as my tone might be, his arrival eases the restlessness edge in me. We haven't contacted, you know... We've just sat here for hours and not contacted anyone to be like, yo, lock your door. Who knows what I would have done if something bad had happened to one of my friends. If another minute had gone by without him showing up, I might have resorted to unconventional methods.
Only after you broke the 13th one. I can't keep replacing them every time you think it'd be a good idea to break into my apartment. And stop calling me Z-Man!
I didn't break anything this time.
Ash, just because I gave you a key doesn't mean you can just stroll in here whenever you want to. And hey, is that my...
It's scary how the friendly banter and easy smile will come naturally. I do it whenever, even without thinking. And that speaks volumes about how comfortable I am around him. That's nice, isn't it? Yeah, until he beats the shit out of you. Makes me afraid of it, however, is the idea of a time might come where I might just do these without meaning and defend him in some way. The friendship we have might be closer than most I've shared with others, but there are boundaries you can't cross with others without others' permission. Zach's been respectful of that so far, neither asking about my parents or what happened to them. Me? I bet he'd say, not so much. That's also easier banter that makes me wish we could just stay like this. No worries, no problems, just potato chips and the debate on whether or not I deserve them. But as usual, something always cuts moments like this short.
Of course he eats all of it. You know, I was saving that for the weekend. Did you at least share some with Bella?
Don't worry about it. I'm good, Zach.
Really? It's free food, you know? What was that you usually say? You don't say no to free food?
And she said no to free food.
What happened?
No, I'm just not hungry.
Although her tone forces him to do a double take, Zach doesn't push it. The question is all too clear in his eyes when he glances my way, though. I really wish I could answer him despite my best efforts. Isabella's been unforthcoming as well. What am I supposed to do? I can't force her to speak, can I? She's not a criminal to be interrogated. She's a friend for Pete's sake. Exactly. It's a good thing Zach has a better handle of the situation than I. Ah, look at that. I can, you know... It's a better situation than I. And soon enough, he changed the subject. Where it leads to isn't necessarily the better topic, however.
Aye. But if you want something, just say so. I've got a fully restocked pantry right here at your disposal. Still not a 5-star level thing, but for an empty stomach, it'd do. Just say the word.
Thanks, Zach. Maybe next time. Food is not really what we came here for.
She came here for your blood.
Ash, he's the one who...
She stumbles into one of her uncertain silences again, before glancing my way. There's a plea in there for me to take the lead in this. Where do we start? Mansion, strange things we've been seeing, the letter. Even I am afraid of what he might say. I can't even believe I'm considering taking a deeper look into this whole thing in the first place. But, here I am.
No, you're right. There really are some odd things going on here lately.
How is everything with you lately, Zach?
Hold on, Ash. Both of you. Did I just hear you say that? Is this why Isabella's here? Has something happened?
Calm down, we're just here to check on things. So, did you meet Andrew about the photos?
What photographs?
Unlike when he brought up the subject of his photos with me, he doesn't hesitate when Isabella asks for it. Zach hastily fishes them out of a nearby drawer and hands it to her. I can almost see it in him the second hindsight kicks in, and the realization that she would have been a better listener than I. Makes sense when all I've been doing until this morning is call it a Halloween prank. She goes through each part of it, print in silence, her shoulders growing stiffer by the second until she's gone rigid and pale. But it was the telling glances they exchange afterwards to speak volumes of the things running inside their minds.
What did Andrew say about them?
It could be one, but there's no guarantee it's a supernatural thing. It doesn't always happen, so that's a dead end right there. Now that I think about it, bothering that guy for this feels pretty silly now. But with the dreams lately...
That's all? Did he say anything about the damn letter at all? Did you ask him even?
As expected, Zach starts to look at me like I've grown a second head. Yeah, I would too if there was ever a universe where I was standing in front of myself. Because even as a child, I never believed in ghost stories. The Lucky Charms, the mythical objects from my mother had been often stored away as were given as paltry gifts to those who would appreciate them more.
Yeah, that's really everything. The letter kind of slipped my mind. The photos were more important at that time. There was some stuff about the local horror stories, though. Talked about the curses, and he was really fascinated with the story about a wraith asking for a sacrifice to move on. Kinda nasty if you ask me, but it does make sense if you simply go along with it. I'm not sure how this will help in the grand scheme of things. Why are you asking about this anyway?
Rose's death isn't just a coincidence, Zach. It may have something to do with... I may have...
Wait, stop right there for a sec. I thought you ain't buying this stuff, Ash. Just the other day, you said the exact same thing.
Granted, I haven't eliminated every single possibility here yet, but what else is there to go off of from here? The word look Zach shoots my way doesn't help one bit in helping me gather my thoughts either. When that's what I came here for. Somehow everyone's suddenly just so worried about me. It's not like I'm pulling this out of my ass.
I still don't, but even Rebecca, out of all people, claims there's something. Whatever this is, someone has got to look into it. Everything about this screams shady.
And along with Isabella's warnings. What's occurring around Zach? What's happening around Luxburn since Isabella found the letter?
Have you two seen the news this morning?
Zach's puzzled expression is enough answer. Of course he hasn't. Another night, another nightmare. The guy most likely went on out as soon as he got out of bed to shake the images off. The memories have never really left him. Isabella, though...
I haven't, actually. Mama called, and I was busy.
That could easily mean anything. Did her Kuya, her older brother, end up in jail again? He had to bail him out numerous times in the past, though all that did was piss her off. Not sap out every inch of cheering her. Or is it the other brother, the younger one, that keeps insisting that he'll quit school so she could come home? It was 2 years ago. As far as I know, she already sorted that one out. It couldn't have been her father, right? Though with the mansion sale, she's earned enough to cover every bill for a while. It should. But what is it then?
No problem. It should be in the afternoon news as well.
Whatever's bugging her, I doubt it's something meant for casual discussion. Else, she wouldn't have mentioned, or she would have mentioned it sooner. Checking my curiosity for later, I take the remote and begin cycling through the channels. A distraction. Not a good one, I admit, but it's definitely better than leaving her to brood. Eventually, I find one doing a recap of the morning's reports, and there it is. The poor guy is unidentifiable with how badly his body's been burnt. Murder via arson? That'd be logical explanation if I was the officer looking into it. Except they couldn't find the source of the fire. The fire didn't even spread.
Found dead in the early hours of the morning today. The fire was contained within the room and no other tenants were harmed, according to Luxburn police.
They're going to consider spontaneous human combustion soon enough if they don't find anything else. But what's important for everyone to note is the state of the room.
A similar writing was found in another victim's room from last week's incident. Both were employees of Briar Realty Corporation. LBN has reached out to the...
Like what happened to Cooper. Hell, I wonder how many other deaths like this have been missed while I've been looking in the right. LPD's already thinking it's a serial killer at this point. How long until they consult with the London Metropolitan? I'm not sure. The Anselm Butcher has always been an enigma even to the people within the city. On for a few years, and then in the next, one body after another's found. Merely handling the case was merely driven the chief inspector insane years ago. He never did find out who committed those murders. Maybe now, this time.
This is because of that thing, isn't it?
Her words all come out like a whisper, but each syllable lingers in the air, heavy with her guilt. In the thick tension of the room, they strike harsher than any of the things we've said. However, she also has to know that she isn't the only one on this. No one has asked her to take this upon herself. Rebecca won't. Zach won't. I sure as hell
It
won't.
ain't too late. We could still fix this. There's 3 of us here. 4 if you count Rebecca.
No, she's staying away from this. I don't want to involve her in this any more than I already have. Both of you as well.
I already said it. That's completely out of the question. Stop asking.
Encouragement aside, this is a whole fucking mess, and we're in it blind. The only way to make it worse is if we start running around like a bunch of headless chickens. But I have a concrete plan now, I think. Maybe Isabella's right. Maybe we should dig deeper into BRC itself. Maybe we're looking in the wrong way. However, my suspicions are mine for the moment. The details are something Zach doesn't even need to know until I have something to show. It's enough that he's aware that I have an idea in my mind. But for his part, Z-Man doesn't push it, and nothing but a heavy silence leads our departure hours later. Seriously, Zach would probably make a more responsible officer than me, if he only had the heart to join the force. We could certainly use more kind people like him. But as good as the thought is, I push all of it into the back of my mind as Isabella and I head for the car. Tonight, I can't stay distracted. Except for a few half-hearted attempts to get some kind of reaction from Isabella, the drive to BRC is quiet, awkward affair. More so the hour-long wait for nightfall. Even with only the 2 of us, the place is rife with tense energy, only a matter of minutes now. But the ticking seconds don't take away the edge. For the 5th time, I reach out and fiddle with the radio, adjusting and turning the knobs with no real purpose. It's a nervous quirk I've developed, and I've never bothered to correct during stakeouts, something to keep my mind occupied during long nights. What else is there for me to do? The person I usually count on for casual out-of-the-blue chat refuses my attempts at starting one.
Ash, out with it!
What? I refuse to unzip my pants! Wait. The way she quickly falters in the silence after, in spite of the tone she takes, though, it makes me doubt if she really means anything for everything she's telling me right now. She hasn't even glanced my way since we arrived.
Having second thoughts? You can still back out if you want.
We're just going to my office. Why should I?
Whoa, is this a casting couch?
Dunno? You can get in trouble, maybe. This isn't exactly legal.
Scope BRC out. See if the real estate company has any more information that may be held, and find things about Cooper and the other agents assigned to Ermengarde Mansion. According to Isabella, it's the last property the victims have worked on. Sure, I could also check the station for full reports. That's the easy, semi-legal way. But I don't want to bump into Chief right now. The guy at the precinct will definitely throw me out on his orders as soon as they see me. Not that my plan right now is any better. I'm just breaking into a different place, more or less the civilian to boot. The latter still doesn't sit well with me. It never will, especially with this might put her in a very tricky position afterwards. She's been very careful when it comes to her work. Almost a model employee, as people would say. This is why is she throwing caution to the wind
I'm
now?
not an employee here. I'm not supposed to be looking for any confidential stuff. Only people like you are privy to.
If you mentioned earlier that this is your plan, I might have had enough time to think about it. I already promised to help if you need access to those files. I didn't think you'd want to see them this soon and in this way. Besides, the same goes for you, right? You were taken off your case. Won't you get in trouble with your boss?
Honestly, it's a toss-up between breaking in her office and in the Wright's mansion. As it stands, I'll have an easier time getting in here first. After all, why would someone want to break into a reality company? Realty. Been here many times before, anyway. for casual visits when I wanted to bug Scaredy Cat. Over the years, I have more or less grown familiar with their security setup and how badly staffed they are. Plus, it's an old building. If the bankruptcy rumors are true, it just means their access protocols might be also out of date.
Still, I can do this on my own, you know.
Really? And how are you even planning to get into our office without an access card? Please explain.
I have a gun.
Well, I was going to pry open the card reader and use a gecko.
You're a hopeless case. I really want to know why no one has locked you up yet.
Because I'm beautiful.
Yeah, you're helping me with this. Willingly. I don't think that'll sit well with the Philippine embassy either. Chances are you'll probably get deported the minute they find out.
Low blow. I know, but it's worth a shot when she can still turn back. It's not like I don't have any means to get into the place. With or without her, I have a way.
At least I have a reason to be snooping about. My badge and rank can speak for me in case things go south. You?
For a passing second, it seems to work. A hint of panic and hesitation flashes across her features when she looks to me with searching eyes. Then unexpectedly it dissolves, not behind the fear I'm anticipating, but underneath something sharp and searing. I'm not sure what she sees exactly, or what she's hoping to find in the short while she's holding my gaze. All of it merely goes unspoken, and no longer than a minute later, she simply averts her attention back to the window, training it once again at some point outside.
Isabella, please, now's not the time.
It's too late for that, Ash. Give it a rest.
An appeal, spoken in a voice too harsh coming from her. Perhaps unintentional, perhaps one that's already too exhausted of everything going on lately. Hard not to concede when she takes on that tone, and soon, despite myself, I sigh. Ducking away every concern I've been lugging around in favor of trusting her on this, according to her, the same confidence she has implicitly given me all this time.
Alright, okay, if that's what you want. And don't worry, I didn't mean what I said earlier.
Which, keeping my pants on? I'm keeping my pants on.
I won't let anything happen to you.
Oh, okay. The lips briefly turn up in a smile, though none of her cheers reach her eyes.
Get this over with, okay? Everyone should be out of the office by now.
Somehow, the uncertainty in her posture makes me wonder if she intended it as some sort of comforting gesture. Whether it's for me or her, she doesn't let me find out. Without saying another word, she exits the car while I'm left scrambling and chasing after her. She's already at the side entrance, a hand raised to the card reader beside it, and another poised to push open the door when I catch up to her. Whatever doubt there was been on her face a while ago, it's gone. Seeing her like this makes it easier to believe my worries are unfounded and that things might go smoothly this time.
And where do you think you kids are going?
To see your mom?
It's late. Most offices in this building have already closed up shop for the weekend.
The bloke seems friendly enough, though one can't really tell from his voice alone. He might be wary, sort, for all I know. Keeping an unconcerned face and a aloft air won't hurt, until I figured out how to wiggle us out of the situation.
Just come back on Monday if you have important business.
But from the way Isabella's face brightens up, it looks as though getting through won't be too much of a problem. He's probably been working here for a few months already then. Maybe around 4 to 6 months max. Otherwise, he would have recognized Isabella or me at first glance. I should have shown my face here since I've been assigned to the firm case a year ago. In the first place, none of the security officers ever lasted a year in service. The longest was around 7.5. I'll give this guy around that before he gets fired or finds a better paying job. For the moment, he's too friendly attitude is almost a gift.
Hey, Seb!
Oh, look who we have here. Been a few days since I last saw that ponytail in here, Santiago?
Close enough!
Wait, don't tell me yet. I'll get it right this time. Sanchez!
You were closer the first time?
Drat. I swear it is on the tip of my tongue. I just need a hint to remember.
I take it back. The geezer's not going to last past this month. He can't even remember a regular employee's name.
Alrighty, I'm sure of it this time. Centillon?
Still a few ways off, Seb.
Isabella, we don't have all night.
I know, just let me handle this. Sorry, Seb. Some other time. We're in a bit of a hurry. I just need to get a few things from my cubicle. Important.
Oh, absolutely. No, go right ahead. As long as you have your access card with you, we're good.
You are the worst fucking security guard known to man.
Not sure if I'm allowed to let your boyfriend in, though.
Who, me?
My what?
Your boyfriend. The guy with you, isn't he?
It's a fair observation, if I say so myself. Needless to say, the silence of sins is both uncomfortable and terribly awkward. Although the latter is probably mostly coming from me, because in the next second, Isabella laughs. Lighter than the ones I've heard from her lately, a comforting sound, really, after seeing her in such a is that even a word? Mood since this morning? I'm gonna go sour. Even as all of it subsides into a mere chuckles sooner than I like. It's comforting to see that I'm at least partially responsible for it, despite my poor heart being beaten to a sorry pulp.
Oh. Oh, no! No. He's definitely not my boyfriend.
She might as well set it on fire and reduce it to dust while she's at it. This poor bloke. Frankly, the number of no's in that sentence alone is a bit too much. Christ, one...
That's impossible!
Hold on.
Stop
Wait.
being funny, Seb.
Christ, one could have been enough to get the message across. Did she really have to put it in that many? Hold on. Does this replay? Hold on.
That's impossible!
Oh my god!
Stop being funny, Seb.
It does!
I'll go on ahead, okay?
Quickly shuffles inside with nothing more than a small wave, leaving behind an even more awkward atmosphere for me to wade through. It would have been bearable if I didn't have to suffer through the stranger's amusement. Alas, woe is me.
Not the boyfriend, but close to it, huh?
Mind your own business.
Kids these days. Good to see her up and about, though. Thought for sure she'd up and disappear like the others.
Excuse me?
You know, stuff in the news.
You mean what happened with Rose Cooper?
I'm gonna be stuck here with him for a while. I might as well try to gather as much intel as I can. He may be just a guard, but someone with real no authority. But most of the time, people like him are the ones who know more than they let on.
Yeah, but even before that, we've got a couple of good blokes we never saw again.
Really? Those guys could have just resigned for all you know.
Dunno, I only catch tidbits of stuff from over here. Oh, seriously, I heard the branch is getting flushed soon, but that's no excuse for anarchy. Figures why Boss Man's been in an awful temper these past months.
They managed to strike a good deal with the mansion in Ansem, right? That didn't do the trick?
Didn't seem like it. The bloke shouting like no tomorrow again. Wasn't very pleased when Gurley called and asked for another leave yesterday afternoon.
Gurley? Isabella?
Not too surprising, considering she's already been gone for 3 days now. She's asking for another. Not that it's a bad thing, but it's within her rights as an employee, but Isabella rarely uses her work leave.
Yeah, poor lassie if you ask me. She found him a buyer for that mansion after all. The least he could do is be considerate to her after a family member's passing.
Wait, what?
The rumors, BRC, Rose Cooper, missing in action, employees, all of it ceases to matter in that instant. Almost an instinct, my eyes are in on the intercom speaker as if staring daggers at it will show me the man behind the voice, so I can see the truth in his face myself.
Oh, you don't know?
No, what?
Nothing. I shouldn't be the one you're asking, and, you know, things might get a bit boring here. No one really wants to hear what a poor old guard wants to say. Why don't you just go after her? As long as you're not looking to create trouble for me, it won't be a problem. You aren't here for that, right?
He's lucky I'm not here to hurt anyone. If I were someone with ill intentions, he might be smiling at the end of the day.
Well, no, but...
I'll go and unlock that side entrance for you then. Just don't forget to turn off the lights before you both leave, okay?
Hey, wait a second. What do you mean by...
He cuts off the connection before I can finish. The rest of my question dies in my throat as soon as the latch clicks and the side door swings open. The Seb, a stout man wearing a uniform still too loose for him, waves me over from the gap and before he disappears behind his station again. It's my luck. Here I thought I was going to have to count on whatever Isabella brings with her. Although no matter how much I wanted to feel happy, something else has taken a firm seat in the forefront of my mind. Is that why she's been acting like not herself today? Since when? Of course, as I step into the building, I try to push all these questions as far as down as I can. Need to focus. Work is work. But if I've heard it's exactly what I think it is, it's a sign of things to come. Honestly, I don't feel too good about that. Alright, we're back. I'm gonna go potty, and then we'll continue this. Listen, okay? Listen. Justine's not here. She passed out after thinking her deep thoughts. But I just robbed a lace truck, so... Done. Let us continue. Now they get your saliva glands going. It's a quiet ride up to the 17th floor where the BRC Luxburn main office is. Sav has been kind enough to switch the guest elevator's power on, just as I'm about to head for the fire exit stairs. Which is a welcome relief. I'm an active guy, but stairs? I won't tire out too quickly in case things get ugly. Well, there probably won't be any trouble with a building this quiet, but you never know. I swear the whole place definitely feels eerie at this time of night. But until I've confirmed anything, those are still just some stories. Worse things can happen. No need to scare myself. Staying calm means fewer mistakes.
Oh, I sure am fucking gutsy, especially with what I'm doing.
I'm breaking a lot of laws here. I'm also putting Isabella in a lot of risks. Best thing that can come out of this is that Isabella is right all along. Worst case scenario? Well, one, someone finds out Isabella's involvement in this, her boss fires her. Two, I find evidence that wouldn't implicate BRC or Luke Wright in a crime in my meddling, and I'm not careful enough, makes me inadmissible in court. Though, I'll be honest, I strongly prefer losing my job or facing Wright over some spirit or ghost or whatever it is. I could always work around the problems with the former. Isabella could always find a better job. BRC would never did pay her properly despite her efforts. But fighting off a phantom? How does one even do that? Do guns even work against them?
Yeah,
Yes,
not
have you
going to
tried?
happen.
But tonight, I'm here to fix things. If I do it without leaving a trail, all the better. Good thing, that's what I'm good at. I'm waiting for, him to just open the door and just... What I'll probably never be good at is finding the proper words when a snitch calls for it. But seeing Isabella's small form beyond those doors, how she pushes through despite carrying an entirely different burden this time, how she's pretending as if everything's normal, it's difficult not to try. People who have never looked beyond her smiles will never know. Never understand. Hell, even Rebecca probably is not aware of this. I get it. We have other problems at hand. I've done the same thing plenty of times to protect myself, after all. But it's all in her eyes when she glances up at a few light raps I give at the door. She wastes no time in leaving the mess of papers on the table and opening it for me, though even through her confusion as she takes on my presence barely hides it.
Seb, let you in?
The rough edge in her voice rings a whole different tune now that I'm aware why. But knowing's different than hearing. It's straight from her. I can't simply bring this up, can I? Not a topic suited for casual conversation, and I doubt she wants to talk to me about it. As much as I want to help, there's a difference between us I'll never be able to cross. One that wouldn't even be able or be there if it wasn't for me. Perhaps if I had been more honest years ago. Less of a coward I might have been able to do. Figures I couldn't even do that for the one person I keep telling myself that I care deeply about.
What can I say? I'm a very charming person.
To a rock, maybe.
This is the closest we can get to, I suppose. The light banter, the fleeting glances, or sometimes the long bouts of silence. And it's enough. For me it is, because even without words, there's comfort. With her, it's easy.
Must be a pretty cool rock then.
Ugh, get over yourself.
Hey now, I deserve some slack here. Today's supposed to be my day off, and yet here I am helping you out.
Helping. By standing at the door.
He's here to protect you. He's like a Terminator.
Well, you're not exactly letting me in.
Despite what she says, she moves to block me when I try to enter. She must have expected this the second we walked up the building's entrance and counted on the night shift guard to bar me from the place. It's reassuring to know she's somehow worried about me, although it's a bit misplaced at the moment. Besides, her concerns aside, I can't really let her get into the thick of things without me. Not with all the problems on her plate right now.
Isabella!
Seriously, Ash. Seb might get in trouble for this. You might get in even bigger trouble with your boss.
He just randomly yells.
And
Okay.
you're not? We've already talked about this back at Zach's. It's out of the question.
At least do it for Seb, please. He's a really nice guy. With the way things are going here, he's...
I'm not. I agree. Seb's not a bad fellow. Might be a little careless with his job and talks too much, but he means well. I'd hate to see the guy leave here with a bad record in case something does go wrong. However, the anxious look she shoots back the table behind her brings an even bigger worry.
Did you find something? Aside from what you told me about yesterday?
Not yet. I'm not sure. I haven't started going through the files we have in the records room. Just the ones they handed to me in rows.
Let me see.
Wait, Ash!
Isabella, I already promised you that no one's going to get in trouble after we're done here. Even Sep. I'll make sure we leave the place clean.
Presentation's still there. A split second of indecision as she tries to form an argument. Eventually, there's nothing comes to mind. She steps aside.
But we can't take the original files out of this office. Clear? Not even a single sheet. We'll just have to make a copy.
Don't worry, that's the plan.
It appears to reassure her, a nod, then shortly she gestures for me to follow. Passing the sea of cubicles, I can't help but take in everything in their office, a force of habit, for the most part. As far as I know, BRC Luxburn used to own this whole building. Offices in several floors, once upon a time, when real estate is still a lucrative business for the company in this side of the country. The walking, like a 3-second loop. It's annoying. Then competition showed up, and suddenly everything's not so good anymore. It's only gotten worse as the years went by, or so according to the rumors. Now the ranch is just this form, despite what the huge sign in the building's facade says, and frankly, it's not too hard to believe when one looks at the state of this room right now. The number of desks have been cleaned out. Personal mementos are scarce, as if the employees have gone on exodus. That'll be downsizing, probably. Still worrisome, though. Of course, I shake away all of that when Isabella starts handing me papers she's been looking through. Focus, Frey. There's no point in whining or dwelling any longer on it. That's why we're here in the first place, to find out what the real deal is the old-fashioned way. Isabella's presence is just a whole blessing, too. I can imagine how long this would take if I pushed going in here alone.
Is this everything? Where are the documents you mentioned?
Still locked up in the records room. Do you need them now?
Bring them here. Everything that has to do with the mansion's sale. Even those who worked on it during the renovations. The cleanup. Everything. Including your mandatory sign-in sheets.
An odd thing to bring up, but at least Alexa laughed from her before she heads for the records room. She remembers, and no matter how weak the sound of it is from her usual ones, it's a welcome thing to hear. It reminds me of the Isabella I know. It's still in there. She returns minutes later with a thick stack of folders and binders. For the next half an hour, we work in complete silence while we dig into everything compiled into the folders. Not an easy task considering how thick the whole thing is, but there's two of us. In fact, Isabella does most of the work, sorting the contracts, the employee list, stuff we won't need, and doing a neat pile. Just the files for the restoration alone makes a stack of papers that's an inch thick. Third-party service providers hired for the masonry, radiators, woodworking, plasterwork, slate roofing, and a whole bunch of other things are well documented. Hell, even a single contractor who worked on the project was listed individually, even if they were just there to do the plumbing. A high-profile and high-cost estate, alright. But with that scope comes along a lot of loopholes. It means plenty of room to hide something in, and if there's anything fishy going on, all I have to do is find a pattern. And it doesn't take long. Upon closer glance, despite the original owners shouldering the renovation costs, it'll be surprising if they manage to break even on the Ermengarde Mansion. With the additional expenses for the open house, the commission for their agents, and the overhead fees, at one point the negotiations to get it listed under BRC's name almost broke down too. Some disagreement about the listing price. The owners wanted to be rid of it as quickly as possible while keeping the worth at a profitable level. BRC was insisting on a higher amount, double what the appraiser suggested. This, plus a rumor that the branch was closing. BRC Luxburn really is in the end, and the sale of the mansion could have easily been a desperate move to keep the branch afloat.
No wonder the final sale happened as fast as it did. Did you know about this?
No. They took it off our hands after I submitted the final documents for the sale. I didn't even know until I read this. I'm not sure if Rose did. I've only been given the key to the records room after she... Anyway, my point is, they've kept all the files from me. Rose was the one who compiled everything from our side. And even then, she was probably not aware of this. There's only so much they let us know. After that, they just told us to wait for our commission, and that the legal team would handle the rest. The rumors are true, huh?
Seems so.
Sheesh. Place is just unlucky. Going bankrupt while the rest of this crap is happening. but this isn't what we're looking for. What we need is the who, the people aside from Isabel and Cooper involved in this business with the mansion and how they are now. We can't do much with the outside contractors, they won't be on file. The employee list, on the other hand, even with 2 people working through this pile, the whole task still takes quite a bit of time. It's a quarter of an hour later when we put down the papers with a sigh and move on to the clients upon Isabella's insistence. For that, the sign-in form from the open house comes in handy. Hannah Wright, Luke Wright, Fletcher Lang, Messiah Ventug, Ashley. Oh, other one's signatures. Something that gives me a laugh when I spy the fake name I wrote on one of the sheets. I'm going to assume Ashley.
Why'd I even pick this name? It sounds so lame.
What name?
Nothing important. Just focus on those papers you have. We need to finish this soon, before Seb suspects anything.
She snatches the paper away from her before the thought of hiding it occurs to me. Not that there are any secret in it. Isabella found me that afternoon anyway, but still.
Lee?
I've been careless that day, failing Luke Ride without confirming where they were headed off to. While the butler's terrible efficient in keeping the right engagements from the public eye, there was all our other ways if I was given the time of my day. In retrospect, I've been too eager, too impatient to find something that'll crack the case and be done with it. Maybe my failure goes as far back as the day of the open house, not during the party last night.
Yeah, well, I was pressed for time.
Seriously, Ashley? Were you even trying?
Oh, come on. You didn't even notice I was the one who wrote it down.
Of course I wouldn't. Only an idiot would use his real name.
It worked, though. Admit it. It's genius. Who would have thought, huh?
She responds with a roll of her eyes and drops the matter entirely by shoving the paper back to my hands. We lapse back to our respective tasks afterwards, wordlessly skimming through everything. Read, set aside, get another one. Looking back at the sign-in sheet, I spot Luke Wright and Hannah's Wright listed up at the top. Not that I don't know about them already, of course, but scanning through the list, a name immediately comes to my attention.
Madeline Williams.
Something wrong?
Huh? No, just that I remember this girl listed here.
She frowns and moves her seat closer, takes a careful read at the sheet. There's a long moment before she speaks again, but from the way she tenses, she appears to be expecting the worst already.
What about her?
She was with me, in the group following Cooper, when we toured the upstairs part of the mansion, I mean. Rather loud one, especially when we took a peek into the attic. Kept talking about the ghost stories the whole tour.
Then, do you? Do you think she's...
She was reported missing 3 days after.
There was a ruckus at the precinct the day her family followed. Threats were naturally given at the lack of progress days later, desperate ones. Her family's willing to shell out all the cash they have to just find her, to no avail, unfortunately. Officer Benjamin has been in a bad mood ever since he spoke with him. But, what can he do? What can we do? He's tied, we're all tied. There's only so much we're able to do with everything that's been shoved into our hands recently.
She still hasn't been found. It's already been a week.
Isabella makes no further comment aside from a nod. Instead, she sits back on her chair with a distant look in her eyes, her hands balling into fists as she struggles with her frustration. Maybe it's anger. But the moment doesn't last too long. Soon her grip loosens. I speak English, I swear! And she folds her hands back on her lap. Her expression, however, it's one I've seen too many times in the mirror. What does one say to a person burdened not by one loss but many, who carries it in her shoulders like a badge of shame? And yet to find the answer to that myself. Until then, the only way is forward. Press on to see where our attempts at fixing our mistakes might lead us. And despite my own doubts, a glimpse of what look on her face is enough reason for me. I can't give up. There's too much at stake, too much to lose. With a renewed focus, I continue on the third and last sheet. I spot another one. Beatrice Wilde, one I recall from the newspaper obituaries. Died of a heart attack. A letter of correspondence expressing condolences to her family confirms as much in her files. Passed away aged 74 in her sleep. That's reasonable.
She's at that age. It certainly could have been a natural death.
Right? I'd like to believe so, but 3 more letters turn up when I rummage through the stack, and it leaves nothing more than foreboding feeling in me. They're all addressed to families of clients who have passed away in the past week. Regardless, these go in the pile of things worth looking into after our visit here, along with William's info sheet. There are just so many names, so many faces, each one I've seen that day, and here I'm wondering if they're all alright. It isn't selfless thought that brings the question to mind, rather it's the logic that if more of them are still alive, the more people I can choose to question. Nothing's concrete yet, of course. There are just speculations, but we're making progress. Once done with the sign-in sheets, I stash it along with the growing pile to my left and pull out as many as the other documents Isabella's already prepared for me. We're working through the employee list now, those who have been assigned to the mansion. Because if Isabella was to be believed, if what she's seen and what happened to Rose Cooper is because of the letter, I need to know everyone who was possibly read it aside from the 3 of us. If they've been noticing strange things too. For all I know, these may have been just terrible coincidences. Although the thought of that starts to diminish as we dig into the BRC's company files. 15 minutes later, the stack close to my elbow has risen from 5 to 21 different dossiers. Client and employee documentation, people who have visited the open house or worked on the property in the same capacity since the letter's discovery. Turns out there are 2 more employees who handled the mansion directly aside from Cooper and Isabella. Christian Sy, the reality specialist and realty specialist, and Mark Julius John Marie, the estate appraiser.
This C guy, he was in custody just the other day.
Really? Sir John has been looking for him. He stopped reporting to work a few weeks ago. Are you sure it's the same person?
Yep, this is him. Folks at the precinct said they went to his house after a noise complaint. They found him just acting all crazy. Had to take him in when he started getting violent. He kept screaming about a woman.
Immediately she stiffens. I don't want to bring it up or imply a connection to Isabella's story, but this is, that is exactly what happened.
It was driving the guards mad, but he didn't last too long in there. A few hours in, and he just started bashing his own head against the wall, and, well, it was messy, to say the least.
Oh no, we had no idea. Is he okay? HR just marked him as AWOL because none of their calls would get through.
He's in the hospital right now. I heard they're putting him into a psychiatric ward as soon as he recovers. He's still a bit unstable.
Jean Marie, on the other hand. His employee file notes his date of leaving, and even when his final payment had been given. Along with it, there's a letter to his family about their appraiser been found dead in the office. Communication is hush-hush, and there's a mention of compensation if they don't talk about it to the media. Inspector Abigail has been often scolded for me not reading the reports on a regular basis, but I try to keep it up to date as much as I can. When I do, I make sure I'm aware of the gist of what's going on in my city. This has never reached the police's ears or the health and safety executive.
Do you know about this guy?
One glance at her says everything. They've hidden it from the media. They've kept it from the police. Not surprising, this will all be secret from someone of Isabella's position in this company. Fuck.
Rose was looking for him. Last week. We haven't heard anything from him either. Until now. They never mentioned this to us.
Business going under, someone dies while working here. Of course, they want to keep that quiet. It's bad publicity. This whole thing is getting freakier by the minute. Nevertheless, I hand the files over to Isabella to make a copy.
The pages with their names, addresses, and contact numbers will do. We'll start with the ones who live within the city.
Sometimes there are things you really can't just brush off as mere coincidence. In my line of work, once a pattern pops up, it's only right to be suspicious. Especially after the thing with Sai. It hits too close for the stuff my own friends have been telling me.
All of this?
It's considerably thinner than the one she brought in, yet somehow the way she hugged the folders close to herself makes it seem heavier. Like she's hanging on to it in the same manner one will latch on to a lifeline.
Only the noteworthy ones.
And those that might still be alive. Might. Doesn't need to know that.
We can't check the outside contractors, but the guys with the direct connection to BRC and the people who attended the open house should be enough. We don't have time to see how everyone's doing, especially if what you said is true.
For a second, she appears about to argue, then quickly decides against it and hides it away before anyone reads the question in her face. Then, in a too abrupt motion, she turns towards the copier and gets to work. Sure, the only machine constant thrum fills the air around us while I keep myself busy cleaning up the mess we've made. The lack of talk is awkward, but to put it mildly, disturbing at worst. I've gotten so used to letting her just babble away whenever it's just the two of us. I could tell, however, she wants to do more, she wants to fix this mess herself. The desire makes her angsty. But at the same time, she's learning how not to be impulsive or stubborn, exactly as I told her yesterday before agreeing to any of this. Or maybe these so-called changes have always been there, whether dire situations have always pushed people to change after all. Although seeing this happen in front of me only makes it difficult to find the proper things to say. In an atmosphere this tense and charged, what is left for us to talk about? Certainly not the news. What's worse is when you only realize all of this in hindsight right after you've already ran your mouth off.
You know, for a house your company seems to be in a hurry to sell, they still made quite a fortune out of it. Look at this. 1, 2, 3... 6. Are you sure they're planning to give your entire share for this? This isn't a small amount, especially given the usual cut. And their accounting department isn't in the greatest shape either.
Even if they don't, it's not like someone still needs it.
And there's a reason why people don't let me talk. Silence once again descends through the room, denser compared to the ones we've shared tonight. Behind me, I can still hear her movements, so sharp, precise, while she feeds the originals to the machine. And then one last click, all of it stops. Her feet shuffles lightly against the floor, and she moves away. Something creaks softly by the table as she settles her weight against its side. By this time, an apology is already on the tip of my tongue.
Belle,
Papa's gone, Ash.
Within those scant few seconds, everything between us shifts as the gravity of her words sinks. Right then and there, something harsh and immovable rises between us. Death is something I'm familiar with. Almost 10 years in the police force, and it's impossible not to be acquainted with. This is different from the dead bodies we examined in forensics, a far cry from the victims we found on a bad investigation. Those I could easily distance myself from. No emotional attachments, no need for pretenses. Yet somehow, I find myself grasping for things to tell her. Any words of comfort that'll dull the pain. Because, even without looking at her, her grief feels palpable enough, her pain. An immutable weight hanging over us. Well, that suddenly changed the tone of things real quick. Tell me about him.
When?
Huh? When what?
Your dad. I mean, when did you find out?
She doesn't answer. Not immediately, anyway. For a long moment, the hush simply stretches out before us, spanning across the seconds we let pass, while we both simply stand there waiting. Eventually, she exhales. Lightly, muted enough that I might have missed it, had I not been paying attention to her every movement.
Yesterday, around 3 in the afternoon there, Mama called. She told me he passed away in his sleep, and I guess I can take comfort in that, huh? That Papa wasn't in any pain when...
She trails off and releases another ragged breath hidden underneath her chuckles. Each one mirthless, heavy, but nothing sorrow. She then falters in silence, and for all the attempts at lighting her burden, I'm suddenly at a loss. Reassurances could only do so much when her only reason for staying here was suddenly been taken from her. Her hope yanked from underneath her feet right after it was generously given. And without that, without the one person who pushes her to endure all of this shit she's going through, means nothing but a struggle. What does one person say to a person fraying at the edges, slowly wearing thin and breaking? Are words even enough? What right do I have anyway? I cannot give her anything apart from lies that change me as a person and affections she may or may not even want herself. Because no matter how easy she has wormed herself into our lives, how immutable her presence has become, her own heart will always yearn for something else. For home.
Tell me about him.
Huh? About what?
Your dad. Tell me about him. Anything. Just talk. Say anything you want. Doesn't matter what it is. I'll listen.
Silence again, as if she's testing the weight of my question for the purpose it is, for a reason that even I can't say right now. After a while, though, she starts reluctantly, her voice hitching, faltering, stumbling on each syllable she chooses her words. A rough start, but it soon steadies. And along with it, keep company with the stories from childhood and memories she's fond of. Are the tears. Despite this, in spite of the grief choking her words off, the hurt closing her throat, and the sobs racking her lithe form, she continues. Like the mere act of speaking is a relief in and of itself. A release. She tells me of her father, the very person who named her, how she looked up to him, how she was a little bit of a tomboy growing up in her attempts to intimidate or imitate him, and how the man encouraged her to pursue what she really wanted. Perhaps even the only thing she had ever did for herself, having grown up not wanting anything more than food to put on their tables.
He told me I don't have to listen to them. That I can do what I want. Every day, he'd wake up at 4, Ash. Because he'd earn more that way. And every single time, he'd give them to me. Whatever extra he earned, he'd hand them all. So I'd have something to use for my paintings. And you know what? Back home, just a good tube of paint costs almost as much as what we spend for food the whole day. But he'd always set something aside. He told me he wanted to see my paintings in a museum one day.
She pours all of it out. Every little thing she loved and admired about him. Like this, it's easy to see why she has gone to such great lengths for him. Why she abandoned her dreams. Why she went against his wishes just to grant him another chance at life. Others will say it's her warmth that draws people to her. Her cheer. Neither wrong, but neither is the whole truth to her either. Because those who have never been bothered to look beyond the surface will never see it. See her. Be someone earnest, someone who has always meant well despite her underlying stubbornness. This is how she loves. Warm. Steadfast. Unflinching. You never meet many people like her. Not in my line of work, not with the kind of people I've dealt with. Always with something to hide, always with something to lie about. Eventually, when you run across too many of them, you change, you become like them. In many ways. For a lot of reasons. She's the kind of person I want to be and be around with. Who made me feel like I'm still worth something.
He didn't want me to leave. Begged that I should finish my studies first. In the end, I couldn't even grant him that one request. I'm a terrible daughter, aren't I?
You're not.
Huh?
You're not. I can't speak for your dad. I haven't even met the man. But I know you're not.
I'm not entirely sure where I'm going with this. The remark just came out. Now I'm stringing all these together as I go. But one thing is certain, none of what I'm saying is a lie.
The Isabella I know is a total klutz, but I've never seen anyone work as hard as she does. She's the type who wears her heart on her sleeve. Though it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's always in the right place. She's intimidated by a lot of stuff, but she knows how to appreciate the smallest things in life. Frankly, you've caused us no small amount of trouble since you barged into our lives. But when I'm with you, all of my worries seem trivial.
Heat has already crept up my face when the turn this whole thing is about to take registers. Before I blurt out the rest, declare feelings I'm not even ready to reveal to anyone, much less to her, my hand comes up to smother the rest of it. Though embarrassment quickly takes the reins before I completely clamp my mouth shut.
And I'm pretty sure Zach and Becca think the same way. You have a nasty way of growing on people like that, and you know what? We got everything we needed in here. I'll just wipe the security recordings and we're good to go. While I'm at it, you better wipe the snot off your face. And you don't look very nice when you're balding like that.
You're an idiot. You're a fucking idiot. Alright, that's it. We're done. Hastily, I gather everything. The personal files, the client documents, sales agreements, contacts, anything my hands could reach. In record time, all has been stacked in a neat pile, ready for storage. I'm heading for the records room, not a few seconds later. Wherever that is. Should be easy to find, unless this place is a maze of some sort, which I highly doubt. Still beats staying here and seeing the look on her face. Crap. Really, her anger's still bearable. I can take that, including the growing flower she sends my way.
So, yeah, I'll go get the security videos and put these back where you pulled them from. Man, these are heavy, you know?
You were awkward as fuck, dude.
Ash, it's just paper. You don't even know where I...
Oh, no, I can handle this. Easy as pie. And, yeah. Security cams, tapes, videos, cams. Yeah, I'm off.
Please. For rejection at this point? Maybe. Maybe not yet. Getting the files back to the BRC's archive room is a cinch. With the documents back in the proper places, I lock the door behind me, tugging it twice just to make sure. Now on the next order of business. Removing the evidence of the little excursion in here, or at the very least the parts showing what we've been doing the past hour. And of our faces plastered on security footage showing us breaking the law, as it were. I'm gonna have to wipe the data for Isabel's access card entries too. Surprisingly, finding the security room proves a breeze. What would be tricky is getting inside. The fact that no one walked out during the whole time we've been in here means the room is either empty or security is sound asleep. I'm banking more on the former. If they're cutting corners and firing agents, I have no doubt that they've fired the guy stationed here, if they have anyone watching the monitors in the first place. Rather common thing for establishments, just leave security recording running indefinitely, and only check the footage if something actually happens. Just to check. I press my ears against the door, listening for any sign of anyone occupying the room. After a long minute, nothing, I give the knob a few rattles.
Standard lock and key. Should be easy enough to pick.
We have lockpick sets for those, only to be used if necessary and with a search warrant. Even then, it's a skill set rarely needed. Something I practiced when I was younger. Subtlety is not a cop's priority if they have the authority to search the premises. Bolt cutters and brute force are favored methods. If those fail, we call a locksmith. Me? I prefer the good old hairpin trick when those options aren't available. Besides, they're easy to hide and store for emergencies. Running my hand through my hair, I pull a pair of bobby pins. 2 of these, and I can just open any standard lock. One makes a lever, and the other makes a handle. I won't call it a complex skill, but it certainly takes time and a lot of practice to successfully pick a lock. And steady hands. Good thing I practiced with them a bit in my college years. I learned more than they're accessible and standard issue for a law enforcement officer. A wiggle here, a click there, managed to seize all the pins in the locking mechanism soon enough. And with a slight turn of the knob, the security room's ripe for the picking. Well, that doesn't look fucking ominous right there in the top middle corner at all. Our middle monitor. Yeah, that doesn't look ominous at all. There she is in a cubicle with a big-ass shadow behind her. Okay. The room's odor hits me first, a sharp, nauseating stench as if someone has accidentally spilled a gallon of bleach in the room. Hi, how are you? Get off my screen. When was the last time they opened this place?
Ugh, this place smells awful. Jesus, it's worse than the forensics lab on a bad day.
This is probably because of a badly botched effort to clean the place up. Even in the dark, I can spy dark stains on the walls. I don't really have time to try and play in this ketchup or soda right now, but I have a strange gut feeling who the mess might belong to. As expected, no security personnel mans the office, CCTV controls, the standalone DRV setup is open for anyone. Normally, I'd have a heap of things to say about the sloppy security setup, but right now, their negligence makes this whole task of erasing evidence easier.
No fuss, no muss.
The next thing should be access data card. Hopefully, getting another computer won't be much of a hassle. No one can appoint the middle tough camera out. Everything up now has been smooth sailing, and there's been hiccups, I'll give it that, even though it's nothing to dampen the good mood I'm in. Once I shift the attention to the machine sitting in the DVR setup, all of it swiftly evaporates. I'm no computer buff, but I can definitely recognize one more than a decade old. Simply looking at it makes me feel younger. With a heavy sigh, I powered up, mentally preparing myself for a slow, apparently. Means is an understatement there. It takes a while, a whole 3 minutes for the thing to start up. The OS hasn't even started loading, and in my boredom, I start inspecting the live feed from the cams. Only 2 work, and one from the view outside. Everything seems to be in order there, and the other for the main workspace, where it's a fleeting glimpse, a cursory glance, but the sight of it stops me. The image is a bit blurry, but standing there right in the middle of the room, by one of the cubicles, I can make it out the form of a...
What the hell is...
Oh. We now have a blacker middle thing. I don't get too far in that line of thought. No, few seconds after my words have slipped out without any sort of warning while I'm still trying to make sense of what it is, the figure moves. A moment of paralysis hits me when she stops right in front of the camera. Like a damn rookie, I still go in the face of danger. I definitely haven't been trained to handle this supernatural, and this is one, isn't it? And... oh, fuck. Her eyes bore into me, the malice and the piercing. Even beyond the screen, it's enough to make me go numb. The only mug crashes to the floor, and my hand accidentally takes a swipe at it. Snaps me out of a trance, reminding me that I'm not the only one here. Isabella. It seems like she hasn't noticed anything, and I'm the only one seeing this. In case whatever's happening, I have to get around. Gathering my wits, I quickly reach for my phone. It takes all but 2 seconds before she answers, but there's no time for relief.
Did you really have to call? We're practically on the same floor.
Get out of there.
What? What are you...
Out! Get out! I'll meet you in the elevator. Just...
You're creeping me out, Ash.
Woman, if you don't get the fuck out, I'm gonna come kick your ass myself.
Just get yourself out of that place, now!
Without a second thought, I back away from the controls from the room, ready to be done with this place. But before my foot even moved, she disappeared.
Son of a...
Instinct instantly takes over. My hand quickly reaches for the gun at my side, only to meet empty air. A mistake that cost me precious seconds, while the paperwork I've brought with me threatens to scatter everywhere at the same time. Gathering everything and myself once more with no weapon to protect myself, my sense of self-preservation kicks in next, and I lunge towards the door. Where's your gun? I sprint across the office without daring to look back. Isabella's already waiting in front of the elevators by the time I make it out of their office. Worry creases her eyebrows upon glancing at me, but I don't have time to answer the question in her eyes. As soon as I reach her, I grab her arm, practically throw the two of us into the open elevator, and slam the button for the ground floor. A sigh of relief escapes from me when the elevator starts its descent. Clicking noise fades off into the distance. Besides me, Isabella shifts, moving the stack of papers under her arm while she takes in my appearance. Concern in her eyes, though all I offer is a small gesture of my hand while I attempt to compose myself. Okay, problem. Now you've left the door open, and now you've also not erased the security footage. Breathe. In and out.
Why are we in such a hurry?
We need to get out of this place. Did you get everything?
Yeah, it's all here. But really, you don't look too good. What's wrong, Ash?
Well, see this woman that you've been seeing? I'm seeing now. She leaped out of a fucking screen in my ass.
I'll be fine. I was in the security room. From the monitors, there was a fucking...
Oh, Lord. We're gonna go in the... Nope! 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 Press the button! Press the button! Press any of the goddamn buttons! No, we're going back the fuck up. No, dog. No. I've seen enough Resident Evil to know where the fuck this is going. No, we're going. The rest of what I'm about to say dies on my tongue when the elevator stops and the door opens to... There's a moment pause when we... both take in our surroundings. Confusion's understandably there.
Oh, come on! They should just replace this whole thing!
No, I'm quite sure I pressed for the ground floor.
Right? But it's just as Isabel said, the elevator always did have problems when I visited in the past. Often she's become so angry whenever we try to get on to the floor, she'll just repeatedly smash one button for the elevator even more. That was always good for a laugh. I wasn't too worried then. Now... Okay, listen. You can't take both of us, okay? You can't take both of us. From the distance, beyond the light's reach, the noise echoes in my ears along with the rapid pounding in my chest. Isabella stiffens and her eyes grow wide at the sound. Gingerly, she reaches up to grab the hem of my sleeve and grips it hard, tight enough for her fingernails to dig through. Her eyes searching wildly for the source of the sound while I stand protectively in front of her.
Ash, did you hear that?
Hello, Perry. Do I hear that? No, I don't hear shit.
Anyone there?
Are you serious right now with that?
I can hear you moving from here.
Oh my god, what are you gonna do? Yell at it?
Show yourself.
No! No response. No response, only the soft sound of something scurrying around on the floor and the walls in slow, deliberate movements. Faint, though still audible enough in this hush. Until it stops. Well, Isabella, it looks like we've gained a lot of points with you. It's great. Rebecca still hates me, and we're about to die. A moment. I'm preparing. I know it's gonna jump scare. I know it's gonna happen. The bitch is gonna come out of the fucking ceiling and be like, ah! Or some shit. Lose your soul. Okay.
We need to go, Ash. We have to.
No. We ain't going shit. And then... Okay, she's kind of mad and I'm getting a brain aneurysm as we speak. This time, I'm certain it isn't my imagination. Against my training, my whole body freezes. Hand still mid-press of the button, eyes growing wide while waiting for any sort of movement from further back, my ears straining for the source of the sound. I can't even offer Isabel any reassurance, as much as I hate to admit it. The dread is seeped into every nerve of my body, and you're a cop. Then the blasted elevator still won't work.
This isn't in my fucking training manual!
Ash, we need to leave. I know that sound. Ash, please, get the elevator!
What am I supposed to do? The buttons aren't working! Another series of shuffling against the ground, laughter, and all of a sudden she's just there. Like a twisted spider. She stares at us, a look of hunger in her eyes and venom in a twisted manner as she smiles. I don't see shit. My glee, she has well earned. When we're damn flies that have been dropped right onto the spider web.
Ashton!
Damn it!
That warning, she moves, mocking me with each unhurried crawl she takes, knowing I'm at her mercy.
Fucking hell!
You drop the papers, you push her into the corner, and we beat the shit out of this thing. Come on.
Ashton, the door!
Our lives are in the hands of a crummy elevator, literally hanging between life and death. We're not going to die here. Not in a damn elevator. What? Wait. What the fuck was that? I don't even know what the hell is happening. All I did was press a button. Okay. As if divine power has heard me swearing up a storm in my head, the doors close just as that thing looms near. Soon the elevator, the blasted thing, is heading up. Bella's knees buckle in relief. In 2 ticks, she's hugging herself, and without any care for the mess of papers and folders she has dropped onto the floor in her panic. She draws in one ragged breath after another, each of one brimming with nothing but relief. And this is the most I've been tired my whole damn life. Not during training, when my superior first asked me to drop 100, not after a stakeout. After smashing a fucking elevator button repeatedly. I slumped to the ground beside her, worn out, but I don't let myself feel relief again. Not until we're out of here. Isabella seems to be the one of same mind as she looks to me. Feel I can't find myself sharing a shaky laugh with her.
We're okay. We're fine. Right?
Nope. You're jinxing it. You're jinxing it. We're gonna open the door and she's gonna be there and she's gonna be like, okay?
Yeah, we're good. Alive. Fuck, we should have taken the goddamn stairs.
No, because then she'd be in the goddamn stairs too. Twice. I've seen it thrice. If I include the party, unless I'm tripping balls without realizing it. There's no doubt in my mind that this is actually happening. I don't want to believe it, but with the truth staring at me in the face, it'll be stupidity to deny the reality of the matter. Really, we lived through that? It just lets you escape? Just like that? I was thinking that, but I just hit the first button that came to mind. As soon as the lift hits the ground floor, we hightail out of the building. Seb's sound asleep when we pass the station. However, in the face of what we've just seen, everything faced tonight, we really can't care less who can still see us on our way home. The sooner we get away from this place, the farther and better. I'm just not sure if that also means safe. Like, she almost got us, damn it. Fucking thing almost had us. Looking for the bits. Shit. Only, it was... only by luck we managed to get the fucking elevator unstuck. Had the blasted thing not worked in the last second. I need some air. Fresh, breathable air that doesn't stink like death and gore all at once. I'm panicking. Jesus Christ, losing focus. Oh, with another person here, I can't afford that right now. Isabella hasn't said anything, but I know she's more shaken than I am. Can't lose it when another person's depending on me.
Remember your training, Frey.
How do you train against something like this? You can't. Literally, you can't. With a deep breath, and soon I'm starting the engines and driving us off. After that little incident, somewhere open would be good. Someplace I won't get trapped. I'm gonna save this. Westburn Park brings a welcome relief, though only by some. The chill that has been seeping in my bones is still there, furling and unfurling beneath my skin. If I don't move, if I don't busy myself with anything, soon my brain will go haywire. It's the last thing I want to happen when there are plenty of things to do. But this is already answers all of it, doesn't it? Those deaths. How many copies of the letter are out there? Isabella can't have the only one if the people are still getting cursed. Could it be that one has shown us just one of the 5? Maybe even more? That would... A whole pass to 5 people business is ridiculous, but at this point, is it still? You can't just expect it to work right now. All in all, we found 21 people who might have read the letter. 7 of them deceased. 8 if we count Cooper. And that's only with what we can find right now. We have no idea how many contractors and specialists hired from outside the company are doing, and if we are in any way affected. How many more people are suffering? How many more are missing? How many more are dead? I still can even blame the Wrights for this. If anything, they might be in danger as well. I give 0 shits. I don't think I can wish a curse upon anyone. No matter how big of a douchebag Luke Wright is. There's also that woman. How do we get out of this mess? How do we get away from her? Shit. Still so many things we need to look into, yet all my body wants to do is pace, burn out of whatever excess energy there is in me.
Ashton, I'm getting dizzy. Will you sit down?
It's the first time Isabella has said anything. She's been sitting quietly since we dropped here. Better and less distracting than watching her nervous habits, I suppose. She certainly seems calm now. Too calm, in fact, for someone who just seen something terrible. That's because you saw it together. But it's been more than a week for her already. People do get desensitized to things at some point. Even someone like Isabella. Who knows what's going on inside of her head, though? Inside mine? There are too many, and none of them would sit still.
I'm not going crazy, am I? I saw that. I'm pretty sure I saw that. I didn't inhale anything weird. Jeez, shit. Shit. Isabella, please tell me that wasn't...
What I'm not expecting when I turn to her is mirth. One where she could barely contain.
You're laughing. You're laughing. Why are you laughing?
Because you finally believe them. I'm not quite sure what she sees in my face, but in the next second, a laugh suddenly bursts out of her.
I'm so sorry. It's just that you should have seen the look on your face back there.
Yes, right. Sure. I'm not the one who's panicked. You almost ripped my arm off.
Yeah, but...
Isabella, this isn't funny! We could have ended up dead.
1, you just fucked up that line. 2, where's your gun, dude?
I know, I'm really sorry. But this is just too precious to miss. You really lost your shit for a moment there.
Like, it's just plot. His gun was missing. Just plot.
You're trying to get back at me, aren't you?
Well, I'm not the one who kept calling someone scaredy cat for years. How does it feel?
I'm not scared.
Really? Because it doesn't seem that way to me. At all.
I'm not, alright? I just don't know what to do right now.
Immediately after the moment passes, replaced by another tense silence. Laughter dies on her lips as everything sinks in. We're in deep shit, and it's finally caught up to and hit us like a ton of bricks. Hit me more than anyone else. Because she has been warning us since day 1, and I'm the first person who brushed it off. Despite that, she still reaches out to me, tugging at my sleeve, almost desperately. Her hands are trembling, and there's a tremor in her voice when she speaks. Without the cheer, only fear remains. One that she has been burdening with since the beginning.
We're still going to do something about it, right? Not just stand around and let that thing get us.
Unexpectedly, she leans her forehead against my arm, and her grip on my sleeve tightens. There's desperation in there, a quiet plea.
Don't want to lose anyone anymore, Ash.
Wish I could give her the promise, but with so many unknowns, so many things I don't understand about this, how could I? Why she still trusts that I can do something about this baffles me. It all feels wholly undeserved, considering the way I've treated her. Yet, despite my reluctance, I find myself returning her hold in kind. Grasp, warm, light, enough for comfort. Not a promise, but the closest thing to it. Darkness blurs the edges of my vision. Black tendrils twist and coil around my limbs. Soft footfalls echo from the distance. Far distance, scurrying, scampering, moving in an odd rhythm with the sharp, piercing notes of her laughter. A scream threatens to burst, but my throat closes off, ever so slowly. A chill seeps into every nerve of my body, washing away every sensation in me, apart from one. There's only fear. And once again her laughter echoes, a sound both bitter and unforgiving. It is the last thing I hear before she reaches for me. The ground trembles, the world slows to a stop. Morning breaks into a blurry mess of vivid shapes and colors. Oddly, there's no feeling of terror or confusion gripping me, despite the vague images that has driven me from sleep. Awareness kicks in shortly, though slow and sluggish as I blink away the last remnants of unconsciousness from my eyes. An early morning light already streams from the open window, wherein the memory sets in, and the room finally comes into focus. Isabella's apartment. Pushing myself upright, my eyes wander idly towards her prone form. She's hunched over the coffee table with her arms underneath her head while she continues to rest. Then, to the chaos of papers and folders we've left scattered over it, for sleep has claimed both of us. We've hunkered down here last night after both of our nerves have calmed down. Mine, for the most part, staying together was an unspoken invitation. And anyway, I'm pretty sure neither of us wants to remain alone when there's that woman. Is she still the one in the first place? One that I'd normally call a human? Can it still feel guilt? Does it understand pain?
Fuck. I'd rather get charged for breaking and entering than mess with whatever that thing was any day.
Not that thinking about it matters when all of our lives are in her hands. She's dangerous. If we don't do anything about her and this curse, we'd definitely be pushing Daisy soon. I can't let that happen. I've dallied on long enough. I've left all my friends in harm's way after the warnings they've all given me. Besides, beneath the terror and the adrenaline that keeps me running, knowing what lies ahead for Isabella makes it hard not to take action. Paper sitting on the edge of the table calls my attention at this light against my hand when I reach for it. It's caught my eye the night before, but with all the lot we still need to go through, I've simply ignored it. The logo emblazoned on the top of the page, however, provides the paper a whole new meaning. Not for me, but definitely for her.
A scholarship grant, huh?
I've only ever heard her talk about this once or twice, completing her degree, that is. She rarely goes about it in great detail, preferring to keep it to herself. Perhaps it's the fact that she thinks she's already too old to be chasing after it. It has been 5 years after all, but I've caught enough snippets of conversation between her and Zach to know she has never given up on it. Despite how things have panned out with her father, she's one step closer to the part of her life. As silly as this may sound, coming from a friend, I'd like to give her the chance to have this. Whether this means stepping out of my comfort zone and figuring out what the deal is with the curse, I'll do so. If only to see the same smile on her from the time again. These days, the only moments she seems to show is when she's asleep. Like right now, no matter how uncomfortable she appears, a smile on many own forms. Despite this, when I glance at her sleeping form again, she hasn't moved since, her shoulders rising and falling in slow, even rhythm with her breathing. You won't think she has any problems this way.
If only that were true.
Sighing, I place the paper back where I had gotten it, carefully so I don't accidentally wrinkle or damage it in some way, and finally push myself off of my makeshift bed. Isabella shifts when I carry her off the floor and over to her bed, but doesn't wake. Simply tucks herself comfortably over under the covers as I pull over her. Briefly, though, she mumbles something to herself and draws in another deep breath.
Becca, Ashton's being dumb again.
She drifts back to a deeper state of sleep after, like it hasn't been interrupted by the slightest movement earlier, but the small smile on her lip remains. When I find myself returning in kind.
Who sleeps like a rock now?
Better this way. Better leave her to her dreams for the moment, which I hope are better than the ones I've had. She'll have time to worry about the problems later when she wakes up. But for now, this'll be another thing I don't have to want to take away from her. A moment of respite, no matter how fleeting. She deserves it after everything she's put through, what I've put her through. In the meantime, I still have 2 other people I need to check with. Isabella was definitely getting a tizzy if I don't check on them. The cold Luxburn air meets me upon stepping out in the hallway. Not unusual in itself, this is Luxburn's weather is supposed to be. A bit cold, damp for the most part, and more often than not, terribly drab with the occasional sprinkling of rain every few hours. The sky is still clear, but I'll give it a day or 2 before the weather takes a turn for the worst. I've complained about the awful rain for years, despite having lived here my entire life. I'll have to admit, though, seeing it return to the usual feels extremely reassuring. At least something's still normal in this world when I can no longer think the same for the situation we're in. A nightmare. It's probably all this is. Usually I'll say I've been through worse, but that's simply another lie I've often told myself, isn't it? And I've fed myself a great deal of lies through the years, so just so I won't have to think about it the next day. Maybe we won't even have this problem if I haven't been running away and ignoring things, hiding them someplace no one else will see, because I've since believed doing so is a show of weakness.
The fuck do I know about ghosts, though?
What is Zach? What is Rebecca? The man has shown me photographs mentioning weird things happening around him these past few days. Bottom line, he likely knows as much about this as I do. What else would he approach me? A guy who knows stuff, according to him. In the end, all I've done is give him the brush off. Some reliable guy I am. Now, Rebecca's probably in the same boat, grasping for anything that might provide an answer, a way out of this. What can any of us do when all of us lacks an understanding of what's happening? One thing's clear about this, however. That thing is after us because of the letter. Both Rebecca and Zach have seen it, too. We will go after them as well. Yet here I am, walking up Rebecca's door, one slow step at a time. A stalling tactic to allow myself some time to put the mess in my head in a better order. How to phrase this when there's a 90% chance that she's still pissed about the whole different matter. The only reason we didn't check on her last night, aside from the ungodly hour Isabella and I arrived, will only alarm her by showing up in her home in the middle of the night, acting like babbling lunatics, and her anger can last quite a while. These days, it seems like the only one she can easily forgive is Isabella. But even with her, Becca's fuming still takes hours. I run my hand through my hair and straighten out my jacket before knocking. Once, twice, 3 times, just to be sure she heard me, even if she is asleep. She's usually awake by now, though.
Hey, Becca, it's Ash. Open up. Don't tell me you're still in bed.
Seconds tick by. No answer from her, and dread has started to creep up. I've been trained to handle dire situations, but the feeling has been doing that quite frequently since last night. My mind begins to anticipate the worst, and in the next minute, concern is mixed in with the thoughts, and I bang my fist on the door louder this time. She'll be definitely livid, but I'd rather face her wrath than a dead body.
Becca, it's Ash. There's something we need to talk about right away. Open up, I know you're...
Your girlfriend left early this morning, pretty boy. So, if you could do us a bloody favor and shut up, that'd be real fucking polite!
Dude, I will come over there and beat the shit out of you. My hand pauses short of landing another heavy knock. From the other unit, Rebecca's other neighbor peeks in through his door, though I see nothing but a bundle of blankets. I'll say they need help from being devoured by their sheets, but it sounds like he's just fine. He's a huge asshole too, course of action. So people like him don't ruin your day. Act like the nicest person on the planet. It's done me wonders when I was a rookie patrolling the streets, so no need to match his temper.
Oh, did she say where she was going?
I don't know. She said something about meeting someone or something, in case Filipina girl over there asks. Well, what am I, her keeper? You know, some people want to sleep in on a bloody Sunday, so keep it down.
I mean, I don't fault the guy.
Just looking forward to this weekend. Thanks, you damn git!
Well, there's no need to be an ass about it. I'll get out of your...
He slams his door shut without warning, but not before muttering a string of very colorful words about me. Probably thinks I won't hear him inside the 4 walls of his apartment. At the end of it, a sigh. So Rebecca's not here. I must have missed her by an hour or so, but at least she's not alone. She should be safe, in theory. More so if the person she's meeting with is who I think I am. Nevertheless, I can't help but worry. It's an easy thing, continuing down increasingly darker lines of thought. Act brashly to find out what she is and go straight there without deliberating on my own actions first. There's Zach to boot. Rebecca's not alone, but I can't say the name for the big guy. Simple phone calls with both of them should do the trick. It'll ease my nerves at any rate. It'll better than rushing over to Zach's place or assuming Rebecca's whereabouts and finding out they're not where I'm guessing they should be. Assuming the worst will come next, but which I'd rather avoid this early. Any other reason, I won't bother them, but an emergency begs for urgency. This is one, right? Even if it isn't, anxiety on concern dulls judgment. Something I most certainly can't afford to lose at any given time, especially right now. Any means to calm it will do whatever wonders for the muddled mess my mind is already. Pulling up my phone, I thumb through the screen until it ends up on the group with only Zach, Rebecca, and Isabella's numbers listed. Others will probably say I keep too few friends when the chance on this, to some extent, is true. Who is Abigail? I can easily name about 100 people I've been acquainted with through the years, and colleagues, blockmates, from uni, neighbors, the sort of people. They'll come and go. But there are these three, that have chosen to stay for some reason, without wanting or asking for anything. Unlike the others, none for Zach's kindness, Rebecca's patience, nor the sincerity in Isabella's eyes. One day these guys are just there, the next I know, being with them eases it. That heavy, somber feeling lingering in the air when you stand alone in your apartment, or something as simple as spending your day off without anyone. I'll say it's loneliness, but this carries much more depth than that. If I can help it, I don't want to lose any of them to some stupid curse. A phone call may be easier, comforting thing at the moment. Honestly, I prefer being in the same room with them right now, but I'll take what I can get. Becca first. Okay. She'll get angry at me for worrying about her. She isn't some helpless damsel in distress, after all. She isn't the shy girl I knew when we were children. We're already far from the people we were back then, but that's more than enough reason to check in on her. I don't have to imagine her taking anything head-on. She'll do it, instead of asking for people she needs. I don't care if she gets mad at me, if only to know that she's fine. A ring in the silence of the hallway. It sounds alone, might well be sharp enough to pierce through my ears. Another second passes, 2, 3. But when on the 9th ring, it goes straight to her voicemail. A cold feeling instantly lodges in my stomach.
Rebecca Gales here. You've reached my voicemail. Sorry if I can't get to you right now. Oh, and if this is Isabella, yes, you're free to reheat the food in my fridge. Otherwise, leave a message.
Probably just busy, that's all. Though I can still barely manage to keep my voice even when I speak.
Hey, Becca, call me back when you're free. We need to talk. ASAP.
Becca will be alright. Is alright. She's safe with someone else. In the event the woman shows up, she'll have someone with her, and someone she'll be able to ask for help. She's safe. She can handle herself. Becca might have a fiery temper, but she knows when she's faced with something she can't handle herself. Yeah, we saw in the library. She did wonderful. Becca will see my missed call, and she'll call me back. Though I don't express it enough, Rebecca is someone I consider important to me. We're having memories. Beautiful, beautiful memories. She's been my friend for the longest. Anyone else would have been fed up with me and left. The girl stuck by me no matter how big of a jerk I've been, and there's Zach and Isabella now too, of course. I've always been thankful for having them around. The worst times before, however, Becca was there. No one believes it when I say it, but I've surely had my awful moments as a bratty kid and a horrible teen. Issues, I've had too many of them to count, refused to deal with them for a time. At least that's what Andrew likes to tell me. I tend to think nothing of it, but it has mellowed down over the years, thanks to the professor, mostly. But at times, I do wonder if it still burdens me the way it did all those years ago. After all, I was terrible, especially around the time of my parents' separation. Looking back at it now, I have no reason to direct all my frustration towards everyone else. While I wasn't a kid who lashed out at anyone, preferring to keep it all to myself and turning those negative feelings into more productive things. Growing distant from a lot of people because of it. From my old friends back in my school and the neighbors I've hung out with before moving. A habit I've lightly brought with me into adulthood. I was just so angry with everyone and everything that I just kept thinking about was myself, wondering why me. In retrospect, I was selfish little bastard who thought the world revolved around me. But I shouldn't have been going through it. I believe my behavior was entitled, that I had the right. Tough times, but she stuck with me. Snapped me out of my little soul, as she often phrases it, whenever she sees the chance to bring it on. She didn't tolerate my bullshit, but she didn't leave me alone either. If anything, the whole thing made her stick around. Her concern may have grown a bit overbearing as the years went by, but She's still an old friend, nevertheless. I owe her a lot. I won't change.
Damn it. Where are you, Becca?
Another message left on her voicemail. When on the third call, I hang up. For the time being, I can't do anything more than wait for her to return calls. Worrying aimlessly won't get me anywhere. Zach, on the other hand, that guy attracts trouble no matter how much he tries to avoid it. Doesn't help. No, hold on. Stop it. There we go. Doesn't help how much he hasn't been able to too hot lately with a lot of the people. As mentioned, the plans yesterday doesn't sit too well with me either. He might be the next responsible adult after Becca, but out of the four of us, I've still got to check with the big guy. Make sure he's doing okay. At the very least, whatever he planned on doing. All I'm asking for is not to be idiotic. He's a sensible guy, I'm sure. However, desperation clings and pushes people to do things rational or irrational. It doesn't matter. Clear thinking flies out of the window the moment you're in danger, and I sincerely hope he has not found himself in a tricky situation. His phone doesn't even ring before he answers, or his voicemail at least.
Hey, it's Zach. Well, a voicemail anyway. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. So, just leave a message, yeah?
I hate people that do that. Their voicemail's like, hey! Oh, hey, this is Zach. I'm just, like, I hate you.
And no, Ash, you're not allowed to lockpick your way into my apartment again. Just do what any other decent human being does and call if I'm not around. Thanks.
Did he turn it off? Why? I don't want to assume the worst, yet maybe he has forgotten to charge it? Can't be. That guy is a bit of a Boy Scout. Even more than I am a cop. He's the type who has an extra battery or power bank in his bag, even if he needs it. He always does. He won't say anything or brag about it, but he's got quite a roster of VIP freelance clients. He won't just leave his phone dead in case he's on the field, particularly when people will likely be looking for him. He always leaves his connection open, whether clients or his friends need him. Zach is reliable like that.
Why isn't anyone answering?
His mobile in a range area sounds more plausible, though the thought of it doesn't completely shake off the unease. Unlike Rebecca and I, he took the time to listen to what Isabella said. And even if he didn't believe it, he was definitely the first one to offer help or try to do something. If he ends up in trouble doing whatever it is so to help, I'm going to... Well, I can't be rash, I'm aware of that. Been running the same reminder in my head since last night. But if something happens, I'm certain my reaction won't be pretty. The added guilt from those times I repeatedly dismissed him will surely haunt me.
Yo, Zach, call me back, alright? I wanted to check in and, yeah, just please call me back.
It's usually a joke between us when I say he's the Watson to my Sherlock. I don't see him as some assistant to put aside until he's needed, like some people like to believe, though. He's not some pity friend I keep around to make myself look good
If
either.
anything, he's the one who stayed by me out of pity.
Zach's the one who puts up with me the most of the time, even when he doesn't need to. It's not a case of a cool cop who helped out a minority. In truth, I was a hard-headed, hot-tempered, and reckless rookie up until I met him. It wasn't anything sudden, and part of me is still that rookie, but I have grown, thanks to him. He tempers that part of me. Considering how our first impression went, I'm lucky he stuck around. Becca and I may have spent a lot of years together as children, but Zach, he's probably the closest thing I can call to a best friend. But it's more than that. Camaraderie no words can express. He has my back, and I've always had his. He's a brother I've never had the luck of ever having. Only child now.
And I have every reason to worry about my brother.
Becca's neighbor did say she went out to meet with someone. No specific names. If I'm wrong, and she's not with Professor Clark, then maybe she's with Zach. They've never been close, but it's not the kind of awkward friendship where meeting together remains out of question. Regardless, I continued dialing for his phone another 3 times, like I've done with Becca's. In the end, after the third attempt, there's no one answering, I stop and move to cut the call with a ragged exhale.
Waiting game it is, then.
I've been trained for those. Hell, I'm used to them. Just not when it comes to people I'm close to. Much as I keep reminding myself to maintain a level head, it's a whole different matter when it comes to someone you know. Personal feelings will likely get involved at some point. It's starting now, actually, with the act of strings coiling and uncoiling, causing a racket inside my stomach. And that's exactly when the line finally connects. Before he even speaks, my question has already slipped out, including every pin-up worry and tension in my body.
Where are you?
Line's choppy, though I can still make out the words he's saying. Nothing to worry about then. He's just someplace where network coverage is shitty. Can't imagine where at this time of the morning, though. Did he go for a jog?
What was that, Ash? Could you repeat that? Signal shitty here.
I asked, where are you? Hell, Zach, I've been calling your number for a good 20 minutes now. What kind of shithole did you get into?
I meant that to sound as friendly as possible, to keep things light at least, instead of only having the frustration shown in my tone.
Good morning to you, too. I should be asking you that question. I've been looking all over the mansion for you.
Oh, you idiot. What do you mean you've been looking all over the mansion?
I thought you'd be...
What mansion?
Do I really need to answer that?
Why are you even...
Please don't tell me that's his plan. A morning visit to the mansion, where Luke Wright is. Of all the pig-headed things to do right now, it's the best he can come up with. Breaking and entering. Bruh. 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 No. 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 What? No. Oh my god. Okay. I got plenty of reasons to rail at him right now, although no matter how much I want to give him a piece of my mind, unfortunately it's not the time.
No. No, wait. Just get your ass to Isabella's place, and hurry.
Pause a moment, a second of indecision, while he seems to contemplate his own
How
options.
urgent is this?
It's pretty goddamn urgent! Do you want to die? In truth, the question and the hesitance and the indecision in his voice, he has caught me completely off guard. An understanding dawns on me. His decision to go there isn't one born out of stupid impulse. He must have found something. However, no matter how urgent it is, he still shouldn't have gone there alone at that. Despite myself in the split second of comprehension, I allow it to show. A weakness. A simple request brimming with every unease and disquiet causing turmoil within me since last night. It bears a selfish hope that he'll understand, even though the unstable signal that whatever's keeping him there, he'll be willing to set it aside for now.
Pressing enough for you to stop asking questions and get yourself here. Please, Zach.
Silence fills the other end of the line again. For a long moment, I assume he won't heed it, and off to drive there myself just to drag him away from whatever danger he's skirting. Thankfully, he agrees.
I'll be there in a few. An hour or two tops.
Thanks. I'll see you.
Relief washes over me as soon as the call ends. Normally, I don't let myself a moment of respite in times like this. Gotta stay alert. Rebecca's still out there, has yet to return any of my messages. But for the moment, I relish in it that this is possibly the first time I've permitted myself to do it since last night. Even the muscles in my shoulders have been complaining from all the tension I've taken on. It still annoys me from all that I can do right now is gritting my teeth and trudge back to Isabella's apartment. Useless. That's all I am in the face of this. A mad dash around Luxburn and Anselm isn't going to help with things, and it's not like I can simply stumble across them on the side of the road during a drive. The city's too big for a place for one person to go searching for only two people. I'll be lucky if I even glimpse the hair of either of them. With one last hopeful glance towards the open skies, I slip back into Isabella's apartment and close the door behind me. I might have already grown used to this, but the waiting will always be the hardest part, more so when it's people you care about.
You're up early. I thought you left.